This is Zenon Konopka, and you're listening to Missin Curfew.
What's Missin Curfew? It's when you kind of play guilty, but you show up.
How nice is a green light on the road, though? No practice tomorrow, no plane, just go.
Scotty Upshaw in the clear, and he scores! Right in front, scores!
A few laughs, a little bit of fun, and obviously a lot of hockey talk.
You're listening to Missin Curfew.
Fellas, coming to you from Hall Pass Media, Newport Beach, this is Missin Curfew. Obes, Richie fella from Pine Canyon. Beautiful, beautiful piece of property.
Gorgeous.
And our boy Jay Swish down in Miami doing God knows what. I'm jealous of you, fella. Boys, how we doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, boys. Well, here's to the Sunshine State, right?
Here's to all that snatch in FLA.
Here's to all that gorgeous snatch down here at FL. Well, we got to build a massage parlor. Yeah, why don't you call the massage parlor? We got a big one tonight. It's ladies' night. It's Thursday. We've rolled it over for 2 straight nights. So it's our last leg on the Miami swing before we're getting in the Bone Rattler tomorrow and going across the Everglades to Tampa Bay. So a big one here in Florida, obviously on the Schmaltz boys baseball trip. So it's been a lot of fun. Miami boys, what a city. Someday if I make some scratch here, I got to get a piece of property down here because the trim, if you're an unrestricted free agent, is lights out.
Yeah, I guess it is.
It is. It's insane.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's like playing a 2-on-1 with Malkin and Crosby. Your head's just going east-west. I can't even track the puck right now. What am I doing?
Are you guys right in the mix there?
Yeah, we're staying in Brickell. Yeah, it's a good spot down here. So I was down here like a month ago and I was on the beach. And honestly, I like it. I like it in the city side over here. It's a little bit more local, not as touristy. And I mean, you guys know this city. It's you need a passport just to get around because, just like I said, it's you got the whole charcuterie board, if you know what I mean.
A melting pot.
Yeah,
exactly.
I've only done Miami, twice. Once with me and Lubes back in the day where we had nothing set up. Like we just tried to go around South Beach with our NHL players cards, and we were getting denied left, right, and center at every club. We're like, hey, I'm playing NHL. Like, so what? Back of the line, kid. And then I went down there last year in the finals with my girl and stayed in South Beach. But it was in June, man. It was fucking hot, but the beaches were still humming. I mean, there was every kind of talent and ethnic and everything rolling around the beach. It was a nice scene down there.
Yeah, no, it's no shortage of anything, like I said. So I'm fired up for tonight, boys. Watched a little bit of hockey over the last few days, but it's been a good trip so far. That Miami Park, though.
Yeah, how was that? I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, it's dog shit, and it's relatively new.
Isn't that new? I was going to say.
It was built in 2012, and it's very bare bones. There's nothing going on. I mean, that matinee on a Wednesday versus the Cubs, if it wasn't against the Cubs, I think there would have been about 4
Cubs
people
win.
there.
Cubs win.
Yeah,
Cubs win. Cubs win.
I think they said there was 7,500 people there, but there's no way there was even that many. It's like, I don't know. It doesn't even make sense how they have a team down here in terms of just like what it is. They never, are able to, if they do have a good player like that, Carlos Stanton or some of their good players, they just end up leaving Yelich. So the park, I would say I've been to 27 or 28 of them. That's dead last, and that includes the old Oakland A's stadium as well. So yeah, it's not perfect, but it was still fun. It's inside at least, so we weren't sweating our balls off.
Yeah, Schmaltzy, that seems weird to me that you just said that, like that no one wants to play in Miami. Doesn't that seem like the perfect fit for all these players?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the Dominican guy, the Latinas, and then obviously if you're if you're a young guy too, even from the U.S., like why wouldn't you want to play in Miami? But I don't know. It's just like there's so many other different things to do here, and I don't think the owner exactly dust off the Amex in terms of signing any free agents. So they're kind of just like a bottom feeder team that they just get by on their TV deals. So yeah, it wasn't perfect.
How much damage did Giancarlo Stanton do in South Beach or Brickley or wherever the fuck you want to stay in Miami? I remember I walked into a laughter shaker back in the day with Matt Harvey into Giancarlo Stanton's pad in Hollywood that I don't know if he owned or rented, but let's just say he had lots of options that night. Like, yeah, he had lots of options to just, he wasn't in a hurry. Let's just say that. He was sitting back, enjoying himself, just throwing a little shaker, and he was seeing the ball very well that night, fellas.
I think if you're doing the MLB awards at the end of the season, he's probably getting the silver wrench award for 1,000 tucks off the ice. Yep, he's probably getting the silver wrench.
You got to think he's doing all right, eh? Yeah. Probably doing all right in New York too, eh, Rich?
I would think he's okay.
Yeah, I think he's doing all right.
I think he's okay. I just got to say this. I think maybe the last time I went out in Miami was my first bachelor party. And the boys limped away from that one. We stayed down at SLS Hotel.
Yeah, that's where I stayed, Rich.
And I had all the boys from Belleville, and it was a little bit of an eye opener, I think, for most of them. But, you know,
A little different than little Texas, eh?
there's our shout out. There we go.
Yeah, there it is. There's a little Texas.
I gotcha. But anyway, having said that, I'm on my second marriage, so yeah, it was a hell of a time.
SLS too. They got the mirrors on the top of the ceiling too. You know,
Boy.
the old stabbing cabin.
Dude, when that SLS Beverly Hills opened up, Rich, back in the day, like that was my go-to spot. Like,
Yes,
I
it was
mean,
nice, right?
every weekend I was in Hollywood. I was staying at that SLS Beverly Hills.
Right there.
Had
Let's see again.
a couple late nights in there, a couple aftershakers back in the day, a couple aftershakers.
Yeah, we did.
Speaking of that shitty ballpark in Miami, they're playing an outdoor game there next year. Florida versus, I don't even know who they're playing, but they're playing an outdoor one there. How's that going to be, you think, Swishy? Probably not great.
So they're gonna just open up the roof because it is retractable, and they're gonna play. What is it gonna be? Isn't it Florida Tampa?
No, Tampa's having their own. We're going to go in for that. Raymond James Stadium.
Okay.
We're going in for that one. I don't know. KC, can you check that for me?
So there's 2 outdoor games in Florida next year.
Yeah.
And they're not playing each other, which I find crazy.
Like, yeah.
Remember, it's like a weird team that they're both playing.
One's a Winter Classic. I think the one in Florida, Miami, is a Winter Classic, and the Stadium Series is in Tampa.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess cool because it's in Miami, but it's like west of the city, so you kind of gotta, even from South Beach. I mean, it's a poke. It'd probably be 35 minutes, 40 minutes from Brickell. It's probably 20. I don't know, Oves. I mean, like I said, the stadium doesn't have any character. Like there's, you know how you go into a ballpark, there's one thing that you always walk away with, like, oh, that was cool. Like Wrigley, the Ivy, it's the world's biggest bar. Fenway, obviously the Monster. Here you're walking in like, I thought I was at a Costco. Like there's just no character to it. So I don't know.
I did see a nice little restaurant, Obi's, there that offered burgers, dogs, fries, and chicky tenders. I'm like, that's my kind of spot. I can get behind Obi's at the fucking Marlins Stadium. That's my kind of establishment.
That's the right name put on that spot, eh?
Hey, little chicky tenders to dust it off. I'm like, fuck, that's a little honey sauce today. You got any sweet and sour sauce back there, boys, or what?
Hey, you got some sweet barbecue too, fella? What do you got back there?
Take 2 large beers, some chicky tenders, and a little sweet and sour sauce there on the side. What do you boys want? Swish, I'm jealous that you're on ballpark 26. Is that what I saw on your social? Because it's something that I talked about with Pitter back in the day, my old man, and some of my buddies, the franchise and Cramper, about we should go around these stadiums. And we pegged off a few. Me and the franchise hit. Are you going to Atlanta?
Yep.
Yeah, me and the franchise hit Atlanta driving back from Tampa one year. We hit Atlanta, and then we hit Detroit, which is a beautiful ballpark. But have you hit 26 of them? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, now 27. And then obviously on Friday, tomorrow, when people hear this, we're going to Tampa, but it's going to be at the spring training grounds of the New York Yankees. Very cool. Their stadium got blown over in the hurricane, obviously. And then Atlanta, we're going to finish it off over there at Magic City. So, yeah, we're clipping a few of them here. I think the only ones I need to hit is Kansas City and Houston when it's all said and done with this. So I've been to almost all of them, man, almost all 30.
Wow.
The old ones, too.
The old Juice Box, Minute Maid Park there in Houston. It's a good park. The old Juice Box. The old Juice Box. It's a good yard. It's a good yard. Remember in center field when it first opened, it used to have
the ramp?
They had the ramp out in center, but they got rid of that. I think someone fucking tore an ACL. They're like,
Anything more dangerous than that? Looking over my door, you fucking digging.
they wouldn't even have that in Sterling, Ontario, eh, Rich?
Oh, shit, they wouldn't, buddy.
Well, Swishy, buddy, thank you you're obviously a team guy at Missin Curfew. We appreciate you taking the time out of your lunch day to join the boys. Real quick, the Missin Curfew family, congrats to Uppy. William Scotty Upshaw has a new baby girl. No name yet, but she's healthy. The mom's healthy, so he wanted me to pass it along that now he has 2 beautiful girls and a son. So, Uppy, congratulations. Man, it seems like a lot of work, but I think he's got her figured out by now, right? Number 3, you got to have it figured out, right, Rich?
You would think so. That's amazing for him. I mean, we just talked about it before we came on. There's a difference between man and zone coverage. So
yeah, I know.
Best of luck. And you know,
the
one thing I will say about kids though is once you have more than one, I find as they get to a certain age, they kind of get over 2, they start playing together.
Yeah.
So it actually kind of not raise themselves, but they you don't have to be on all the time. They will play with each other and they go off and do their thing a little bit. So.
Just throw them in.
It gets easier in some ways.
Throw them in the living room, put a little fence
Little
around them, and say, "Hey,
oh yeah,
figure
go for it.
Figure it out on your own. There's a ball. Go get it."
I said that last night. I said, "You, I don't care anymore. You guys figure it out."
Yeah.
So
that's the way. Congrats to the up dog. Good for him, buddy. He'll be back next week, boys. Moving on to the intro here. We talked before we came on. Richie fella, Swishy, I don't know if you, but I used to watch Cheers with my old man, Pitter. Shout out to Patty O'Brien, old Pitter Patter. We'd watch Cheers, and I just remember thinking about how cool it was. I always wanted to be Sam Malone, right? Ex-pro athlete, own your own bar. Then as I got older, I realized that the bar business is probably the worst business to get into, right? Everyone's stealing your money and shit. It's like, I don't want to do that. But some sad news, Norm passed away. Nobody could hold down a bar stool, and he had the best lines when he walked in the bar. He's like, "What's up, Norm?" Or somebody like, a couple cheeks, couple chins or something like that. He always had the best one-liners. So, Richie, I know you watched it with your old man too, but our condolences go out to Norm from Cheers, my man.
Yeah, and just on that too. I don't know if you've ever done this, but when I went to Boston, they have the Cheers bar, obviously right there.
Yeah.
But it's not anything. All they have that's the same as the sign and the stairs down, and then everything else is totally different. I was a little let down when I went into the actual bar.
I was really
you thought Cliff Clavin and the boys would be sitting around having some beers, and it was totally different. But it was still cool to see the sign. But that was my Cheers story. And like you said, I grew up watching it with my dad, and our generation did. So yeah, we're getting older, Obes.
It's disappointing though, because when you pull up to it, Swishy, in Boston, I don't know where it is exactly, Boston.
You're in the Boston Common there.
It looks exactly like that from the outside. You're like, wow, this is going to be unbelievable. And then, like Richie said, you go in there, you're like, oh fuck, this is not even, this ain't the set. This ain't the set. Where's the set? I want to fucking come in. Where's Woody Harrelson? Hey, he's in the back doing something. Woody, where that fella?
Fraser Crane.
Yeah, boys, my dad and uncle were talking about Norm, because if we're talking where Norm is from Chicago, but he actually grew up going to high school in an area called Prairie du Chien. It's in Wisconsin. If we're talking counties, Obes, Crawford County. And one summer, my dad and uncle, they ran a gym in Madison, Wisconsin, where they trained athletes all the time. And Norm actually worked out at their gym. It was called Acceleration Madison. He came in one time just randomly. He knew like the guy that was in the office above. I think he was like a commercial guy. And Norm actually worked out in the Acceleration Madison where my dad and uncle ran for years. So kind of a cool story. They were talking about it at dinner the other night. Yeah, I guess Norm hit the bike for like 5 minutes and just got off. He was out of there.
He was climbing the mountain. Eh? We're like, maybe 20, 30s on, 30s off here, fella. Turn him over.
Yeah, he wasn't. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I don't think you want him on your poster for workouts, do you?
No, he might have a jammer.
Yeah. Anyways, great show. If you're out there, boys, you haven't watched Cheers, I don't know if you can even track it down. There's all these streaming services. You got to show them you can track down season 1 of Cheers. But Woody Harrelson, sneaky, unbelievable character. Where he made his start, by the way, Woody Harrelson from Cheers. But moving on here, DK Bets Playoffs Edition is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals, fellas. I'm 0 for 2. Came out of the gates, not great. Let's start out East here. I took Carolina in game 1 that I thought was a must-win. It looked a lot, when I came in this morning and saw KC, or this afternoon, sorry, I'm like, that looked a lot like 2 years ago of just, Carolina had their chances early. And then Florida just kind of took it over. Freddie, I love you. Freddie's got to be better. They got to bury on their chances, but for a guy who's got the Caniacs in the series, I'm a little concerned, fellas. I'm really concerned. Like, big time. I'm fucking, like, thinking about betting it the other way. I'm like, maybe I'll just hedge it right now after game 1 here.
I mean, you watch that game 1 and you watch just the crazy thing is, Obes, is as a defenseman, did you watch and notice every time Carolina tried to enter over Florida's blue line with possession, the ability of the defenseman on Florida to sweep and just kill plays right inside just that coffin corner area, like a foot over the blue line, or actually on the other side of the blue line on the neutral zone side?
You know who does a great job of that for them? Sorry to cut you off. Is that Mikkola? He fucking brings the windshield wiper. When they're like, he'll hold the line, does a pretty good job. And then he just does the windshield wiper and it squashes it right there. And all their D do it, but he's the guy, to me, Swishy, watching game 1, that he was squashing the play right at the blue line in Coffin's corner, like you're saying.
Gustav Forsling, Mikkola, all those guys, even Schmidt can skate, Ekblad, obviously, it's the windshield wiper. And even if Carolina is able to pull up and make a little bit of a play just over the blue line, well, now they have everyone tracking back to the middle and they all stop in their positions. I remember it was in the third period where Aho kind of brought up the puck. He made a little tight turn right about the top of the circles, went low to high, and they changed sides and they were able to get a shot from right around the other side, right inside the blue line, like dot with Obes. But it's just like they made 3 really good plays and they still got a shot from 50 feet away. It's like these guys, the way they can kill plays and the way they just stay on top of you it's second to none, I think, in the league right now. I don't know how they're going to score on them. Was so good.
I know they did have some chances. Oh, Rich had some chances.
They had some chances, but we talked about it the last show. I kind of thought Florida had a little bit of an advantage because of sometimes the less time off is better. Your game's sharp, and they you go in, you're on the road, you don't have a lot of pressure. And I just thought they just played their game. Florida just does it over and over again. Every line kind of plays the exact same way. They're not scared to get pucks in deep and just grind. Their fourth line in Florida has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
They can play the fourth, share their fourth line because he's trusting them right now. They're actually producing. They're making really good plays. But I don't know. I mean, I think Carolina will play a lot better in game 2. But I still like Florida, and I like their heaviness. I just like they just grind you.
And like you said, the Cats look like they just jumped on the bird, came down to Raleigh, relaxed for a little bit, and got right into the next series. And from the Florida perspective, they don't look like worried at all. Like Chucky was out there at one time, Aho was on his knees, and Chucky was just like fucking with him. He was just like poking him, and Aho didn't do it. It's almost like they don't. It's almost like in a fight where you got to hit the guy to get some respect. Like fucking Carolina's got to punch him in the nose here tonight and get a little respect, because Florida, if you're putting in a fighting perspective, are just walking them down. Like there was no fear at all in that game 1. They were just doing whatever they wanted. So
yeah, what did Rod the Bod say last year too when they got swept by him? We got swept, but it didn't feel like
2 years ago. He's like, we got swept, but it wasn't a sweep. Believe me, I watched the film. It wasn't a sweep. I'm like, Rod, how many times we hit the head, fella? That was a sweep, baby. You're 4-9. Hey, fella, I love you.
It was at 4 overtimes. That one got him.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was a tight series.
Lost, Rod.
I will say this from the Canes' perspective. I thought they did a nice job of getting in there and bumping Bob. I thought a lot of times we went to the blue paint. They did a good job. They have to continue to do that even more. Get in his grill. Don't take penalties. And then I got to talk to you about Gossesberg here firing the puck at Marchand. Like, it's just an unwritten rule. You can't do that. And for fuck's sakes, just drop your gloves, please. Even if you're not a fighter, you've watched enough Rock'em Sock'em. You got to drop your gloves.
Does anything make you more sick to your stomach? Seeing a guy try to fight with his gloves on?
Oh, it's the worst look for hockey. Like, just drop your gloves.
I wonder why we're not getting viewers. But he's a good guy. Ghost's a good dude. But
he's playing.
What the fuck was he doing first time? You never shoot a puck at someone.
No.
Run, red rule, and all you're doing is you don't want Marchand pissed off, to be honest with you. He's already a rat that's playing great. Do you need him more pissed off and playing better? Then you embarrass yourself by not fighting. I don't know. It's a bad look all around. And I don't know. And they were just getting rinsed on McAfee. McAfee's so good too. He loves covering hockey. He's got like a replica Stanley Cup on his set. Does he?
Yeah, it's so sick. But all those guys were like, look at this guy, shoot a puck at a guy, and then you don't drop your gloves, and you're like, you just look like it was such a bad look, Swishy, for Gossesberg and the NHL and the NHL alumni and everybody. It was just like, drop your gloves, man.
Yeah, that's not how you sell the game.
No.
But I think he was legit trying to shoot that puck like at his chin. It was coming in hot. It kind of tagged him on the shoulder.
Yes.
And then if you're a ghost, man, and you're going to do that on purpose, because obviously you're not dumping the puck in from your own blue line, just shed your mitts. Like, what are we doing? Take them off. Yeah, that was tough. That was a tough sequence for number 4 on Carolina for sure.
He's having a pretty nice match too early on. Like, he's a great player. He's a great player, but that was a tough look. So we'll see if the Canes can bounce back tonight, boys. Out west, I had the Oilers. I was feeling good after 40 minutes. I was like, here we go. My God, was McDavid fine. I mean, I don't know what he was doing up in Edmonton, resting, massages, whatever he was doing, because he was absolutely flying. They came out, played great, thought they looked good defensively. Dallas wasn't generating very much. And then the third period collapse was just outrageous. I think we'll see. I mean, I saw Draisaitl's comments after. He seemed like we got to mature. We got to be a better team than that. He didn't seem too worried. But, Richie, I'll start with you. For a guy who's 1-1, to be up 3-1 without home ice and to piss that one away, to me, sitting there, I was like trying to put myself in that dressing room. I'm like, well, what do you say? Right? It's one game, I guess.
Yeah. Well, just to start off with the start of the game, Edmonton was playing perfect, like you said, through 2 periods. But I don't think Dallas was playing that great. I watched the guys playing against McDavid and Draisaitl fucking throwing pucks away blind behind. Like, there was a couple hope plays in the offensive zone for Dallas, and they throw them and start their transition. Against Edmonton, you cannot give them any life, especially those guys. So I thought they were playing a stupid game to start. They got down, and then I think they got a little lucky. Edmonton they got in penalty trouble. Their PK was struggling, obviously, and they got themselves back in the game. But if Dallas is going to be careful, if I have a chance for Dallas to win this series, they got to play smarter against McDavid. because they're gonna be fired up now, but they can't be stupid and give them opportunities to turn the puck up. They have to make their own. You got to make it very hard for them. And I thought they made it way too easy in the first 2 periods for them. But then the Edmonton's got their issues with the discipline and all that stuff. So and their PK is a problem. But it was a big win for Dallas. That was a huge first win.
And for me, switching before I turn it over to you, I'm just going to say, I'm going to get to their PK in my milk cart. I got a little rant I want to go on. However, it looked to me, you got to give Stuart Skinner credit, right? When Pickard went in there and played his game, he regrouped, and he did that last year. When he has some time off, and I don't know if he can work with his goalie coach or just gets away from the game, he can regroup. However, historically, he does not bounce back after the next game, right? Like when he only has a day in between games, like to me, he wasn't very good. I do want to touch on the PK, but my biggest concern with the Oilers, besides their penalty kill, is Stuart Skinner. Pickard's not even on the trip, so he's not coming back. I just don't know, Swishy. He looked small again. He was dropping down. He just looked like the same guy when we were drunk at Crypto Arena with the boys. I'm like, wow, that's the Skinner that I remember from the start of the LA series.
Yeah, and you just looked at the depth of the Dallas Stars, especially on their left side, Obes. I mean, like Matt Duchene, Jamie Benn, Marchment, and then obviously you have a guy like Jason Robertson, and I think Richie's going to get to him in a little bit. But like even a guy like Dutchie, now his playoff hasn't been unbelievable in terms of if you're just looking at his numbers, they don't jump right out at you. I mean, 1-5 in 14 games, -11, but in the regular season, 30 goals, $3 million. Like that's a sneaky pickup for a guy just like slotting him in for $3 million. Now you look on the other side, they got a guy on the Edmonton Oilers who's played 1 playoff game in his career, and that was this year, and Jeff Skinner for $3 million. So I don't know. I just wanted to give a couple clicks to Dutchie because I thought he was flying around in that game, and he kind of picked it up. He had a goal, obviously, but that left side I'm looking at of the Dallas Stars, those wingers, like that, they got everything. They can play any way you want, and especially if Robertson can get going. This is going to be a tough out. Edmonton's got to up their game.
We were all over Dutchie with the high stick, eh? The doctor, as you call him, nurse, was chirping him, and I read Dutchie's lips. She's like, "Oh, let me stick you in the face." It was a high stick. It was a little fucking high stick, and Dutchie sold it, which we all have sold a high stick in our life. And then he got one on that power play where Stuart Skinner looked like me at the Bay Club swimming, doing the fucking breaststroke. Well, I mean, fuck you doing, bud? Where are you going? And that's one to get Dutchie going because, like you said, Swishy, he hasn't had a great playoff, but I like the depth of the Oilers up front going into the series. Last night, we're going to get to some of their guys here and get this guy a beer. Their depth, Segs had 2. I mean, their depth came through for them. So we'll see. It's only 1 game, but I'm chasing it early, boys. I'm chasing it early in the conference finals. I'm 0 for 2. I got the Canes tonight. Fuck, I'm in one. I think my luck's turning. I can feel it turning. I'm just trying to hold on to it. I'm like, oh, get back here. She's turning on me.
At what point are you switching sides to Florida, Hopes?
If Florida wins tonight, I'm going to hammer Florida in game 3 and 4.
All right.
Yeah. No, I'm giving Carolina one. This is their last chance for me to prove that they got to win tonight to make it a series.
If they lose this game, it's
break out the brooms. Break out the fucking broom. And I'll tell you what, if you're either team out west, if your Oilers are Dallas, if it is a short series by Florida and you give them a week to recover, I don't know.
Have an eye.
Have an eye. It could be back-to-backs in the old Sunshine State. So, boys, moving on here. Speaking of Sunshine State, blue lights down there are tasty this time of year. Get this guy Labatt Blue. Brought to you by Labatt. With Labatt, you can buy beer and get gear. Go to their website, snap a photo of your receipt, and upload it to gain points towards exclusive merch. Any size, any product, anywhere you're buying Labatt. Sign up at rewards.labattusa.com. Fellas, I'm going to start dishing here. I got 3 again. I got Carter Verhaeghe and Aaron Ekblad in game 1. I thought Verhaeghe was unbelievable. His backhand goal, spink, dink, and down, kind of set the tone. Eki, for a guy who I thought is getting slower by the day, his boots seem to be better than they were even last year, and his shot, he scored some big-time goals. So to Verhaeghe and Ekblad, get yourself a Labatt Blue. And then I just mentioned him, the old veteran, Tyler Seguin. 2 goals, Johnny on the spot in the breakaway, went to the net on the second one and tipped it in. So Segs, good on you, fella. I'd be happy to see him win another one. I know he won one early with Boston, but just a veteran guy, been around a long time. Tyler Seguin, get yourself a Labatt Blue.
Well done, Opes. I only got one to dish out here, and I want to give this guy a little love. Sam Steele. I thought he played excellent in game 1. I've kind of watched this guy the last few years, and I didn't know what kind of player this guy was going to be. There was always questions in my head about him. He's kind of found a nice home in Dallas, but I thought he played unbelievable last night. He just carrying that third line center. PKing is excellent. He's got a lot of fundamentals. I'm not sure if it's the coaching of Pete DeBoer and Spot over there, but this guy is turning into a really nice checking forward. Made a nice little play on the set. I think it was the second Sagan goal where he cut it out and went backhand and Sagan kind of bumped it in. But I just think he deserves a beer for for that play. Have a cold one. Get focused for game 2. They're going to need you.
Yeah. You know what? Swishy, before I turn it over to you, fella, Sam Steele was a guy that I used to argue with Ryan Getzlaff about when Getzy was still with the Ducks. And, I didn't like Steele's game. I thought he was undersized. I thought he was a little bit soft, and he was more of in a skill role with the Ducks. And then, he was a first-round pick, back to the drawing board. He's coming to Dallas, and Pete DeBoer said he can't shake this kid. The comments from him was he doesn't matter what happens to him. He plays the game. He continues to work hard, and he's been rewarded with a great role with the Dallas Stars. So I guess what I'm saying there, Swishy, is I was wrong on Sam Steele. Getsy, you were right, bud. He's a good player. I was wrong.
Yeah, and especially when you're a first-round pick, you come out of junior, you think you're a scorer. There's just a lot of different things, and you're not, and you got to find your way in the National League. So good on him. Boys, I'm going to slide a beer to a guy that just got out of jail. That is Nick Morark. I believe he is the glass banger over there in Dallas. Now, he's not, doesn't come with a set of tits that the chick that sits behind Pete DeBoer, but this guy is big for American Airlines Center. I don't think they've ever really won when he's been in attendance, so I think he got a big win in his first game back. I think he was in jail for maybe a Dewey and something else. So
yeah, no, he likes his Labatt Blue, so this is perfect. That was from a source of mine that might have been his third Dewey. So they throw him the clink when you get your third one. Even in Texas, you can't have 3. You can't have a hat trick there. Even in Texas, they'll throw the luck.
Right. The first 2 Deweys, I mean, just chalk that up to life, right? And the third one, okay,
fuck, couldn't get an Uber.
Yeah, bad service. Bad service.
Phone was dead.
Right?
Fuck, phone was dead.
So, yeah, 3 times stick handling, not perfect, but he's back in the mix. So I just wanted to slide the glass banger one. I don't know anything about this guy, but it's just hilarious, these characters within the game. So, Nicky fella, have a Labatt Blue. Don't be driving drunk. Catch an Uber or maybe walk home, fella. But cheers to you. You're back in the mix over there at the American Airlines Center, just in time.
The old too drunk to walk, so I drove, eh? What you gonna do? I was too drunk to walk, so if I had to drive, boys. That's awesome, Swishy. Always drink responsibly. Get that guy Labatt Blue. Moving on here at Missin Curfew. It's my Missin Curfew dog of the week. Richie, you mentioned the fourth line of the Florida Panthers. That's why you have a Stanley Cup ring, because you could play on the fourth line, you could play on the third line, the second line, up and down the lineup, but you need a good fourth line this time of year, and the Florida Panthers have it. AJ Greer is my Missin Curfew dog of the week. He's been unbelievable since he got in the lineup kind of halfway through, I believe, the Toronto series, was it? Or, yeah, I think
it was. Came in like game 5 or 6 in that series.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. He's got 2 goals. His TNT interview after the game was unbelievable. They asked him about, coming right from game 7 and right into the mix. And kind of what you said, Rich. So, he's like, we flew down, little pool time, little vitamin D, and we were ready to go. And that's just kind of the mindset that the Florida Panthers have in general, that they just seem to got it figured out. And he talked about how everyone on the team has a role. It doesn't matter who comes in and out of the lineup. You know exactly where you're going to go. You know exactly what your D-man is going to do. So that's a kudos to Paul Maurice. But AJ Greer, he's my Missin Curfew dog of the week. Fuck Richie, I love a good fourth line. The Cats got one.
No, and I don't know what their stats are, but I'm pretty sure he's got 2 or 3 goals. Gazdovich, or whatever you say his name, I think that's right. He's blocking shots. He's scored a couple goals. If you're getting 2 and 3 goals from your fourth line in the playoffs, you have a good chance to win.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? They're putting up points. They're giving valuable minutes. They're hitting. They're physical. AJ Greer will drop the gloves. Gadjevich will drop the gloves.
Gadjevich will knock your head off. He knows he's the toughest guy out there too.
Exactly. He's a real legit. AJ Greer will fight anyone. He's not the toughest guy in the league, but he'll fight anyone. They have lots of character through the lineup and enough skill, to play in the big minutes and be trusted. So that's tough to beat, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, boys, even that Nosek that came in the lineup too, right? He's been really good in the dot. He had an unbelievable pass to that Finn Listerainen the other night for the 5th or 6th goal or whatever it was. It's just those guys, whether they're in or out of the lineup, it's just a testament to the coaching staff and the leaders in the room is they know their job and they are a very predictable team. And that's what makes them good, is they just know where they're going to be at all times on the ice.
Yeah. Predictable is a great word for it. That's exactly what AJ Greer was trying to say. We know exactly what we're going to do. We're predictable in all the right spots. And they got that mojo, that championship DNA right now. I'm on the wrong side of that series, aren't I? I'm on the wrong side of it.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong side of it. Before we go to break here, let's not forget this show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We'll be right back. Fellas, so I need to talk to you about something that has generally changed the way I carry my stuff every day. This right here. This is the Ridge wallet, and honestly, I don't know how I lived with that old leather lump I used to call a wallet. You know the type. Bulky, splitting at the seams, receipts from 2017. Yeah, that's brutal, fellas. But this is a game changer. It holds up to 12 cards plus cash. It's RFID blocking, and somehow it's still crazy slim. Like front pocket slim. No more awkward pocket bulges. No more sore back from sitting on a brick all day. And let's talk about this design, fellas. This is forged carbon fiber, and it looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. Sleek, solid, built like a tank. Titanium, carbon fiber, aluminum, they don't mess around. It's basically indestructible. Lifetime warranty, by the way. So it's the last wallet I'll ever need. And here's the best part. Right now, Ridge is having their huge Memorial Day sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/curfew. Just head to ridge.com/curfew to see their biggest sale of the year. After you purchase this, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support the fellas by telling them Missin Curfew sent you. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Richie fella, Swishy. It is milk carton time here at Missin Curfew. Richie touched on it, one of the best PK guys, face-off guys, gritty fucking guy you are, Rich. The Oilers penalty kill. You would know better than me from a forwards perspective, but to me, watching the D, listen, I get it. It's not, back when we played. It's not even, the 90s where you can get in front and go Chris Pronger style and cross-check. However, the back end of the Oilers is going to have to do a better job of not letting Marchman, Ben, and these other guys get to the blue paint, stand right on top of it. I mean, the second goal, Marchman was just standing right here, and Skinner didn't do a great job. But you got to get in there, or better yet, before they establish that and get there, make it a little bit harder on them. I know the rules have changed, and it's not as easy as it was when I played, but to me, I'm putting the Oilers PK in the milk carton, and Swishy, I'm putting their back end. You got to make it harder. Nurse, Wallman, for these guys, make it harder on the forwards to get that blue paint, because once they get there, they're not moving them.
No, and we've talked about that in the last couple of weeks. Is you got to do your early work before you get to the blue paint. So it starts off with boxing guys out of the corner, not letting them get inside the dots, getting that stick up in their teeth, not in their teeth necessarily, but up in their chest opes, because then, like most forwards, they're not going to want to grind through that, and you can push them and steer them in different directions. So you're right, man. They got to get a little bit more snarl back there, a little bit more piss and vinegar. But I think this Dallas team, I think they're just flat out hungrier, and this is obviously another level to what Vegas was playing at, and they got to match that intensity, especially getting to the blue paint and inside ice. Nothing's free at this time of year, Opes. Edmonton, Oilers, get a little bit more snarl back there, boys. Got to up the ante. Cough, he'll get the boys going.
Yeah. Richie, what do you see from the forwards perspective on the Oil?
First off, like the one thing I noticed is stay out of the box.
Yeah.
Okay, first. Too many penalties. When your PK is struggling, the last thing you want to do is take a lot of penalties.
Don't I know?
Second of all, there's second guessing a lot of the choices. The key thing on a PK is everyone in sync, and when one goes, we all go. And we had this rule in Arizona. We had the number one PK for a couple years, and there were certain times you want to be super, super aggressive, and those are off a face-off. We had like a 7-second rule, and if we lost the draw, we went hound dog. Everyone went full kind of, you know what I'm going to say. For 7 seconds, any bobbled puck, everyone goes. Any entry, dump-ins, those are your pressure points where you got to go full out, and that's the time to turn pucks over, create some chaos, get it clear. And then if you don't get into that, and everyone's got to be going at those times. But if you don't get it, then you got to fall into your systems and rely on that. But I just think it's a group that's kind of a little out of sync. One guy's going, the one guy's not going, and they just got to get on the same page. But those were the trigger points that we used. That it was kind of that 7-second rule. We go all out for 7 seconds. If they break our pressure, we got to fall back into our structure. But I just don't see them doing that. They're not. Sometimes when you're not doing well, you tend to back off.
Yeah, that's the worst thing
and not
to do.
Be a group. So they're just kind of falling back. You got to get almost more aggressive and get more in sync. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Bobble and puck, you go, I got to go. Go. We both go. And I would say this from a defensive perspective too is I've noticed them coming out to block shots, and they're so worried about getting in the lane that once it gets by them, there's still almost two guys below them. And now it's a 2-on-1 at the net. As a D-man, just get to the back post. If you can't block it, just let Skinner see it. Almost double screen him at times last night where I was like, get the fuck out of the way. So Great points by you, Rich. And you got your own little milk carton, fella.
Well, yeah, and I hate doing it after a big game one victory, but for me, the my milk carton guy is Jason Robertson. He's been the kind of the leading goal scorer for the last 3, 4, 5 years in Dallas. He's got 0 goals so far in the playoffs. He didn't get a shot last night. He didn't have a shot in the last game against Winnipeg. For a guy that scored 50 goals in this league, you got to get some shots. He's looked kind of not scared, but I hate saying scared, but
soft.
On the borderline of
soft.
And there's no way you can win a series against the Edmonton Oilers with those two guys if you don't have your best scoring or at least creating traffic and creating shot volume. So he needs to be better. I look forward for a better effort in game 2. He might be a shot guy for me for game 2. He's due for a couple shots on net. So he's got to improve if they're going to have a chance.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. He's got to get in the fight a bit more, right? Even the last couple of years, I'm watching this guy. I'm like, get in there. You're big. You're lanky. No one's going to do anything. Get inside ice. Get a greasy one. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if they can beat the Oilers. They definitely can't beat Florida or Carolina coming out of the East. It's going to be Florida Switch. They can't beat Florida without Robertson going.
Gentlemen's sweep, Obes. I mean, I don't know. You're all over. So we'll see. I don't know everything over here, but big game tonight.
I think you do, fella. I think you do. Moving on here, boys. It's the Jägermeister iciest shot of the night, presented by Jägermeister. Serve it cold or don't serve it at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold. For more info, visit Jägermeister.com. And fellas, always drink responsibly here. KC, before you roll it, this was early in the game. This is when I got my money on the Oil in the series. I was like, this is going to be a long series for the Stars. Great shift. They get him in the old washing machine here, or the blender, or whatever you want to call it. So start rolling it. McDavid doing his thing. Booyah. Nice little play here by Nurse. Patience. Draisaitl. Nice little pick by McDavid, and then Spink. Damn, that's cold. What a shot. That is our Jäger iciest shot of the night. Richie and Swishy, after that goal, I know it was early, halfway through the first, but I was like, look out for the Oilers. They're going to get 7 tonight. What a shot. What a sequence. And that's tough to stop.
The one thing that was so sneaky on this play, Obes, is the pick McDavid threw.
Yeah, right?
Right on, it was on 53. What's his name?
Wyatt Johnson.
Why he throws a subtle pick that Wyatt Johnson has to break his stride and go, and then that was when it was over.
Yeah,
it was such a sneaky, smart play.
What a shot!
And just the way, what a shot, what a play, and the way you threw it from backhand, forehand, quick without dusting it off, just boom, boom. What a play! When these two are together, how that's what it's fun to watch them play, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I love anytime they don't kill penalties, but when the penalty ends and they put them with Hyman, it's unbelievable. And Switch, from a defensive perspective, Draisaitl and McDavid are a dream. You could throw McKinnon in there too, but when you know that Draisaitl is going to come up high here and Nurse can trust him like that, it just allows you to work the blue line when you know your centerman's high. If it bounces over your stick, you got him high, but you know that he's there to create offense. You know what I mean, Swishy?
Well, I mean, in the best players in the world, too, they all use that high ice where they come up when they start, the carousel gets going. And then how much fun is it, too, Obes, like you mentioned, when you're a defenseman and you're out there and you're in that high ice and that cycle game with those guys playing like a 3-high almost, and you're setting picks and you're kind of in the flow of like this Harlem Globetrotters like offense. Like you feel like such a player when you have the puck on your stick and you're running those exchanges. That play there, right there, like Richie mentioned, though, that subtle little pick on Wyatt Johnston, and then Draisaitl's able to get that puck and just take it right to the net, attack from downhill. That was a nasty shot. That was a sick play, but the whole sequence was cool. Just watch them just put those guys in the absolute fruit ninja, the old blender.
Yeah, and it was a great job by McDavid just taking his ice, right? Richie just took his ice, gotten Wyatt Johnston's away enough to know that that's all 29 Draisaitl needs, and that shot was Old Faithful, low blocker. Oh, damn, that's cool. That was nice.
But even Obes, I just want to break it down a little more. Like the way McDavid took it into the middle of the box and he drew 2 guys in, and that caused Dallas to shrink. And then he was able to kick it out to the doctor, Darnell Nurse, out at the blue line. He ends up sucking a guy in, drops it off to Draisaitl, and then McDavid rolls around and sets the pick. Like it was poetry in motion, man. That just
really was.
That was fall.
It was hockey. It was hockey porn, wasn't it?
Yep, it was.
And it creates, like you guys are talking about, as forwards rolling up. There's nothing better when you roll up as a forward and your D's going through the middle, and all the confusion it creates for the defenders. Who's got who? Who's got who? You're all fucking fucked up. Everyone's yelling at each other. Who's got who? And you don't know to switch. And then especially when there's little subtle picks and role plays where guys get interchanged and mixed up, it's hard to defend, man. And especially at that kind of high speed.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're -1. You're like, what's that? Come back to the bench. Like,
Is that me? Who?
hey, Richie, is that my guy? Swishy. I thought you were supposed to switch there. I yelled switch. You didn't hear that? Holy fuck, boys, here. By the way, Otter's got to have that one too, by the way. Fuck, come on here, boys.
Make it safe.
Hey, let's go. Let's get the next one here. Let's get the next one here.
Next thing you know, you catch your early flight home from San Diego. You know?
Jump into your closet like a goddamn magic show. I just remember coming back to the bench being like, boys, that was my guy, right? I think that was my guy. That was my guy. Sorry about that, boys. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, because it goes from like an overload if you're playing zone to man-on-man, and then it's good night Irene, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I think of like that. What's that? Wedding Crashers when it's like trying to cover a fucking racehorse.
Yeah, I think he's on fucking steroids. It's like trying to cover a goddamn racehorse.
Covering these. That's what it is. Trying to cover these guys.
I was all stay. I'll make it rain out here. I'll make it rain out here. Red 7. I don't know what that means.
I'll just go stay over here.
How about I know we're getting a little off the rails here, but how about along came Polly? Do you want to switch? No, I'm just starting to figure this guy out.
I've just realized how to guard this guy, bro. Okay. Another great scene from Along Came Polly is when he's taking him to the art party in New York. He's like, Ben Stiller's like, hey, whatever you do, man, don't leave me. I haven't been to a party single by myself in a long time. He's like, Charlie Hoffman or whatever his name is, Seymour Hoffman's like, yeah, don't worry about it, bro. Elevator doors open, looks over, gone. Ben Stiller's by himself. I'm like, that's just a typical like guy that's been to a party. Yeah, sharded. Yeah,
Sharded.
By the way, Jennifer Aniston in that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, I saw actually a clip of her the other day where she's strolling the streets of, I think, Manhattan with a little tank top on, and she's still she doesn't miss Pilates very often, I'll tell you that.
got it.
Oh, she can go 90-90 with those hips obes any day of the week.
Buddy, one of the best Jennifer Aniston scenes, we are getting off topic here, but that's okay, is We're the Millers when the drug cartel guy's like, you're a stripper? She's like, yeah, I am a stripper. And she does that little dance, hits the water on her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then what's his name? Who the guy who played Ted Lasso?
Jason Sudeikis.
Jason Sudeikis goes to the guy, he's like, that's your mother, hey? That's the little red. He's like, that's your mother.
That's a sneaky little good movie.
Great movie. We're the Millers. Yeah. Great movie.
Yeah.
Boys, Jäger, damn, that's cold. That was unbelievable play. Last but not least here, before we get to our guest, it's the Comcast Top 10 Standings. This program is brought to you by Comcast Business. Powering the PGA Tour with leading networking and connectivity, advanced fiber solutions, and expert partnership. Boys, we got the top 10 here. No surprise, Scotty Scheffler at the top. Rory McIlroy. A guy who I love is Big Sepp Straka. You know, he's a little chunky. You know, he probably doesn't want to tuck his shirt in out there, right? He's like, I got to tuck my shirt in. The belly's hanging over a little bit. He can absolutely stripe it. Justin Thomas is having a nice year. And then another guy on this list that I absolutely love is this Andrew Novak. Good Canadian lad, Corey Connors at 7th. Shane Lowry at 8th. But that is the Comcast Top 10, boys. And what about Shane Lowry? I heard Rory tell a story today that after Rory won the Masters, he's like, I got to get some red wine. So we went into Augusta. And they're like, you know, Mr. Lowry, we're not allowed to just sell, you a couple cases of wines. Anyways, negotiated with the guy, bought a case of wine at Augusta, drank it with Rory after he won the Masters. That's a good Irish lad right there, fellas.
A nice case.
I bought a case. I can't forget a nice ball too. It was real nice ball. He bought a case, and him and Rory, I don't know if they drank the whole case, but they put a good dent in her.
Those two Irish boys, I'm sure they gave it a good go.
They gave it a good go. Anybody jump out to you on that list, Richie? There, the Comcast Top 10 Standings, fella?
I just want to say, yeah, you know what? Justin Thomas is up in the top 4. It's a little surprising. I guess he had a big win, right?
Yep.
The one guy, Russell Henley, little skinny little rat on there.
Good little Georgia Bulldog. He's on the Ryder Cup team right now. He's qualified for that team too. So he's. Yeah.
I like, Corey Connors. Good to see a good fellow Canadian up there.
Yeah, Leuven Dahlberg, Mr. Perfect, I call him, and then Harris English, who supposed to be a good guy, but he just looks like just a golf nerd out there. But I like Scotty Scheffler and Rory at the top there. But what did you think about Rory McIlroy not talking to the media at all throughout the PGA Championship? He was all butthurt about his driver being broke.
Yeah, I mean, you got a job to do, right? And those people have a job to do as well. I think you can throw him a bone and go talk to Amanda for a couple minutes. It's not going to hurt you, Rory, right? Like, just do your job. I don't know. That to me just creates more just of a distraction, whether you were just to go over there and just be a good sport about it and realize you've made, $300-400 million and just, get the people a little bit of insight, your frustrations, and then if you need to, go get back on the range. But yeah, that That Russell Henley, like he's hanging around there. At 6, he's kind of built like a taekwondo.
He's got the worst style on tour. It's like college school, like Docker, khaki. They're all
It's like a throwback from the 2000s or 2000s, isn't it?
You're like, come on, fella, get yourself some fucking microfiber or whatever they're called nowadays. That little let you breathe. You know what I mean? But he's just old school Southern guy. That he's scrappy though. He is scrappy. So
Can I just one more thing, Obes, quick? I'm just looking at the DraftKings. Have you seen the odds on this tournament for Scotty Scheffler?
yeah, he's like 2-1, right?
Plus 135. The next closest is Tommy Fleetwood at plus 1,800.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, that's insanity of our golf tournament,
that's Tiger.
Airway Jesus.
Yeah, that's Tiger Woods. That's Tiger Woods odds
right?
there.
It is.
Yeah, that's
It really
great.
is. That's insanity.
Boys, speaking of scrappy, one of my favorite teammates, actually a guy who I fought 4 times before becoming his teammate, and then was one of my best buddies, one of my favorite teammates, the ultimate competitor, won pretty much everywhere he played. We got Zenon Konopka coming at you next. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Up dog, Richie fella. One of my favorite teammates of all time. We talk about glue guys a lot. This guy's a glue guy. He was a winner everywhere he went. I used to fucking hate him when I played against him in Ottawa.
Absolute prick.
And when he was in Utah. And then he comes to Cincinnati and becomes not only one of my favorite teammates, one of my best buddies. Zenon Konopka. Nopper, Z-Man, good to see you, buddy. Love you. It's been a long time. Thank you for joining Missin Curfew.
Yeah, it's been way too long. And this is the first podcast I'm doing. And because I play with you, OB, that was by design. And hopefully this goes well.
No, you've always been a good talker, fella. You've always been a good talker. You could have your own podcast if you wanted to, but I'm sure you got a. Is it still like when you were playing? You know, obviously you played as hard as you could, but I remember being on the bus with you and you had business deals you're doing. You had this. You always had something going on. That's kind of what kept you motivated and kept you going. Are you the same in business nowadays?
Like I still have some side businesses, and I did a lot of things after hockey. One of them, I worked for Adam Oates for 1.5 years, and that was just phenomenal. Like we trained the best players in the world, like Scheifele, Stamkos, Kucherov, Eichel, and then McDavid came to us, and it was amazing. By far, Adam Oates is the smartest mind in hockey I've ever been around. And I know he's not cheap to go train with him, but anyone in the NHL should be training with that guy. He's just next level. And work-wise, like I did a bunch of business things. I kind of missed kind of like the team atmosphere. And the last couple of years, I've been working with the operators union. And we have like a little team that organizes companies. And it's been a breath of fresh air. Like I kind of missed being around guys and kind of doing things together. And it's been amazing.
Yeah, see, you know, me and Loops always, you know, you always come up. Your name always comes up over the years and still does. And, you know, the one thing Loops didn't know about you when, we first started playing together, lockout years, how much skill you did have, right? Like, you know, me and you were never the fastest guys. We weren't going to win the fastest skater competition anytime, but you had great hands, good vision. So I could see you working with Adam Oates. And, you know, what I wanted to ask you about retirement, we've talked about this, all of us. We all had a hard time with it. And when I think of you, you were one of my favorite teammates, and nobody loved coming to the rink more than you and battling and getting guys fired up. So how did you adjust with it when you first retired? How hard was it for you, Z?
At first, like, it's almost like I think I pushed my body so far that my body kind of had enough.
Yeah.
I had over 700 stitches in my face over my career. I had broke my nose, I think, 13, 14 times. Never lost a tooth. And I never wore a mouth guard.
Wow.
And I had over 700 stitches in my face, never mind my body. So it was, I had a bunch of business stuff going on. And then after about 1.5 years, and that's where it started setting in. And then I went to work for Adam Oates, and it kind of got me back, the juices rolling. But it was tough, right? I had 3 kids in diapers, and I was away, and I told my wife at the time, I said, I need a year to learn. The guy's so smart, Adam Oates. He's so far ahead of everyone else. And I stuck it out for 18 months. And he's absolutely phenomenal in what he does. And it's just like little exercises, and I call them like little tricks, but if he heard me saying that, he'd kill me. But little lessons that make the game easier. And when I was there, I think we had like close to 50 guys training with us, and not one had a concussion the whole season.
See, we're gonna take a little trip down memory lane, but first, before we do, my man here is about to have his third. My boy Richie's got 2 beautiful girls. I got 2 meathead nephews that, I love to death, but you got 4 kids, fella. And I never really pictured you having 4. Like you never really talked about having kids. You were kind of single when we played together. Was it something you always envisioned, or you just you couldn't miss off the ice either, Or was it just kind of happen?
No, I always loved kids, and I always wanted to have kids. I don't recommend having, 3 kids in 2 years and I think 3 months.
Couple Irish twins.
Yeah, it was an Irish twin in there. But for anyone, the new dads and stuff like that like it's a bit of a grind off the start, right? And as soon as they turn the age of 2, that's when it really starts for the dad, right? Like it's just amazing. And I love my kids. My whole life is my kids. And my parents gave me everything and my sisters. So you kind of want to reciprocate that, to your kids. And, a lot of things change. I always say, I don't know when we're airing this, but it really doesn't matter because about winning, like when I played, winning was everything. And, when I played junior, we're going to go over a few things, but like, if someone asked me, like, you're going to die in 3 years, but you can win a Stanley Cup, I say, okay, sign me up. Like, I'll die in 3 years to win a Stanley Cup. In junior, we die to win, and once you have kids, things change in life and everything else. Your priorities change. But, talking about teams that find a way to win, it's not by accident. And, and it's not easy winning. It's like you have to push I always say, and I used to say this on and off the ice, you can push your body way further than you think. And sir, like
you did used to say that, yeah.
You're speaking about winning. I just got to kind of ask you this as kind of a face-off guy myself. I think you were second in like all-time win percentage in face-offs. So did you bring any of that stuff to Oatsy? And just to say you were so tough you had the strongest stick and you were just a grinder in the face-off. So did you bring any of that stuff when your kids playing hockey? Are you teaching them the face-off tricks?
Okay. So one, I wasn't asked for oats for any advice from face-offs.
Jesus.
But I mean, Oatsy was a pretty good face-off guy as well.
Yeah.
We talked to Oatsy is, I think, misunderstood a bit, right? Like he's very open to chats. You just got to talk to him at the right time. And, for me, I learned a long time ago, when you're in the room with someone that is better at something, you want to learn from them instead of trying to open your mouth and kind of put your 2 cents in. And, I don't think, even though I was second all time in faceoffs, down the line, if I would have stayed there longer, I think I probably would have. Talking about kids, I had Irish twins boys. My boys were 10 months apart, and I always thought, okay, if the younger one can be good enough to play on the older team, that would be awesome. And coach the team. And my one son has cerebral palsy in his legs, so we wear braces, can't play hockey. And then everything changes in life. You just want them to be healthy and happy. And Zenon Jr., the third, he's not a huge fan of sports. He likes science and stuff like that. And part of myself is looking at some of the minor hockey situations, and it gets pretty crazy. So I always say you enjoy what you have, and you enjoy the people around you and the things around you. And things change in a hurry when it comes to your kids, I guess.
Nopper, just to further that conversation, you're always a prick to play against. I think I said that earlier. You'd never go away. You almost enjoyed it.
I loved it.
You enjoyed the more the fight and fucking loved it. Or just the more crazy the game would get, right? But you always seemed like level-headed. You always knew how to talk to the refs. You were good chirping, but you were a great teammate. Who did you learn that from early? You talked about junior and that you would have died to win in junior, like Ottawa 67s. I'm sure those teams were good teams.
Yeah, they won one.
But is it like was it teammates back in the day? Was it a couple older guys when you first turned pro? Like, you seemed like you were just an ultimate pro upon, 19.
You know what it was, honestly, and I guess we'll start where, winning. I grew up in Niagara Lake, which is next to Niagara Falls, and we had a AAA center. It's not even big enough to have a AAA center anymore. But we're the only group of age that won 2 Ontario championships, right? I think there's 5 total in every age group, and we won 2 of them. So winning became fun and important. And I remember like going, you try to remember what's your first memories as a kid, right? How old were you? And I think I was like maybe 5 years old. And my dad worked at GM and he was playing fastball. He was a catcher and he hurt his finger and, they wanted to take him out of the game and he said no, and it was a championship game and he stayed and caught. And back then, the ball's, firing on all cylinders pretty quickly. So every time he caught the ball, he gave a grunt. And after the game, they won and he went to the hospital and he had a broken finger and he finished the game and they won the championship with a broken finger. And for me, I always played through, it didn't matter what kind of injuries. I remember Adam Oates was my assistant coach in Tampa and pulled me aside and goes like, you're on a 1-year contract and the other 29 teams don't know you're hurt. Like you're killing your career here by playing hurt. And that's just the way it was. So my first year in the OHL, we hosted the Memorial Cup. So we got it in automatically. And we ended up losing in the second round to Belleville. And we had like a month off. And after the month, we come in and Belleville beats us in the round robin. And in the semifinals, we beat them. And then we ended up beating Calgary in the finals in overtime to win the Memorial Cup. The next year, we have another really, really talented team in the top 10 of, CHL. And we ran into a lot of injuries at the end of the season. But it gave the younger guys a chance to play. And I know Obi knows my buddy Lance Galbraith, who has passed on now. But so we lose in the second round. But the young guys kind of take over the team at that point. Now, the third year, we hear a lot of chirping. I remember seeing Sean Avery, you guys never won the OHL. It's a phony Mem Cup. And we were kind of like, there were 7 of us on that team that felt a little slighted that we never won the OHL. But this is a totally different team. Now we have no stars. Now we got a lot of guys that are dogs and we'll put it on the line. And I remember, and again, I love Brian Kilray, my coach. It's a love-hate relationship. And when you play for him, it's more hate than love, probably. But, there's 8 games left in the season, and we're 1 point out from missing the playoffs. And they write an article in the Ottawa paper saying, this is going to be the first time in 16 years Ottawa's going to miss the playoffs. Maybe it was 18, right? And we pick up the paper and we're like, what are they talking about? Like, none of us had any worry. Like, maybe we slid a little further down than we thought. And I always wanted to play with Lance Galbraith, who was the ultimate, pound for pound toughest guy to play with, probably. And I remember getting on the ice and Kilray said, "You want that idiot? You got the idiot." I think Lance got into trouble again off the ice, and Killer got a couple calls. Now, saying this, to put it in perspective, when I started playing pro, guys were asking me about Ottawa, oh, how was Ottawa? I said, well, great. How was your place? They're like, well, you guys didn't have curfew. I'm like, you guys had curfew? I'm like, you guys had to work out? You guys had to go to school? What?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that sounds awful.
Yeah. So, we were running pretty hard at night. And so he put Lance on the line with me, and I told Killer, I said, we'll win the last 7 of 8 games. And we ended up winning 7. We tied 1. There was ties back then. So we got up to the 4th seed. And we played North Bay, and they were the second hottest team. And we just said, quicker we get rid of these guys, quicker we're at the market in Ottawa having a good time at the bar. And so we swept them. And then we played Belleville. And Belleville beat us out the last 2 years before that. And our owner, Jeff Hunt, who's a good buddy of mine now, him and the owner of Belleville did not get along. They almost got into a fight at one of the games the year before. And I remember Hunt coming to me and saying, and they're heavily favored. They had Wellwood, Rayovich, all these stars, Robertson. He goes, I don't care about anything else. We just need to beat Belleville. And I said, well, if we beat Belleville, I'm getting your credit card and take the boys out. And he goes, I'll give you my credit card. I don't care. Just beat them, And the mistake they made was we went into Belleville because they had home ice. and they played Wellwood, Rajovic, and Rose line, the 3 top scorers in the league.
Oh yeah, Randy.
Against our line, against me, Lance, and Miguel DeLille, and we beat the shit out of them. And we ended up, Lance had a hat trick. We beat them like 7-2 in their building, and Lance two-handed Wellwood and allegedly cracked his wrist at the end of the game, right? And after that, they got the matchup they wanted. They kept that line away from us in Belleville, so we lost game 2. We come back, we win our 2 because we have our matchup against Wellwood, and we just held serve, so we won in 6. And I remember seeing Jeff Hunt. I'm like, give me the credit card. And he's like, there has to be stipulations or limits. I'm like, give me the fucking card. Like, you got another fucking round. And
Give me the fucking card.
I wear this ring, right? I got 3 rings, not, and we'll get into us missing out on a Calder Cup and a Stanley Cup. But I wear this ring because it was that team. So the next round, okay, we're going to play the St. Mike Majors, who is the number 1 team in our conference. And Toronto Maple Leafs, the Ottawa Senators win the President's Trophy. So they are the best team in the NHL. Toronto comes in as the 8th seed. Okay, so everyone in Ottawa thinks they're going to win the Stanley Cup. There it comes. Toronto sweeps them in 4 games. And it was like a morgue in the whole city. Well, now someone in the paper says, well, here's the rematch. The 67s are playing the St. Mike's Majors. So the snap of a fingers, it was sold out, 11,000 people at our building. And I had a buddy, and that's Tim Brent, I believe, was on the team. And they made a mistake matching him up against our line. And I had a buddy that came into town, and I said, do you want to go to the game? He goes, I'll pick up a ticket at the game. I said, sold out. I said, I'll get you a ticket. And after the game, I saw him. I said, we're going to the bar. And he goes, I've never seen so many brooms on the ice. And we swept the St. Mike's Majors. And then we went into play Plymouth. And again, it was, they wrote an article in the paper that I didn't really get slighted that. Like, I wasn't that upset about it, but guys were furious. And I know Lance's dad went after the reporter actually at the Mem Cup, but so they wrote an article saying Stephen Weiss, the series is going to be decided between Stephen Weiss and Zenon Konopka. But he said, this is the reality of junior hockey and NHL hockey, that realistically, this is going to decide the series. But, 8 years from now, Konopka is going to have to buy a ticket to watch Stephen Weiss play. And now this was the part that was a little bit over the line. And Konopka's kid will have a poster of Stephen Weiss on his bedroom door. And I mean, I was just happy to be in that conversation.
Like, I got my name in the paper. Fucking rights.
Yeah. So we ended up beating Plymouth in 6. And I'm trying to be quick here, but how I described that team, we got a couple Europeans, and we had this European Sazonov from Kazakhstan, and he would tell time, like, we'd be like, how long does it take you to get to school? And we're like, you go 5, couldn't speak English very well. We're like, 5 minutes? Like, he goes, no, 5 cigarettes, right? And he would rip the filters off and smoke them, and he would tell time, like, how long does it take you to get to the rink? 7 cigarettes, right? And he came, and he was somewhat of a selfish player, right? But we pulled him in. It was like and that's where you have that core of the team. Like, we pulled him in you can't be selfish. We love you, and in game 6 against Plymouth, it was touch icing still, and it was a 2-1 game, and he dove headfirst to negate an icing, and he separated his shoulder. He couldn't play in the Memorial Cup, and that is the best way to describe that team. I mean, me and Brendan Bell were the only guys that played in the NHL. Actually, Luke Sellers played 1 game. We had no stars, nobody. And we upset and won, and we went to the Mem Cup. And next time I'm on, we'll chat about the Mem Cup because there's a couple funny stories. So getting back to your question, we made our own mold. And that's where I saw that this could work. We can intimidate, and we can play, to the death. And if we play to the death, my team's going to win. And that's where, and it was to a point, and Obi, I don't know if you remember this, but like me and Obi fought a couple of times. 2 or 3 times, right?
Yeah.
when we were in Cincinnati in the lockout year, and we'll get into that a little bit more, right? Because I didn't even think I was going to make the team. Because again, I had to go win a championship in the East Coast to get out of that league. But I remember Obi about 2 months into the season. We were on a bus ride, and every bus ride was like over 6 hours. We didn't have a sleeper bus, but we were having beers. And Obi, he came beside me, and he looked at me and goes, I gotta apologize. And I was like, for what? He goes, I thought it was just an act.
Yeah.
Like, I thought you were doing this just, like when the coaches were around. But he goes, after 2 months, this is how intense you are, And it kind of caught me from, I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm intense, like, you don't even think about it when you're in the moment, it's just a feeling. And not to pick on, Mitch Marner takes enough criticism.
No, give him some fucking more. Give him some more, Z.
But I'm going to explain something to you, okay? Game 5, when they played Florida, okay, there was no pushback when they got down in the game, okay? Well, Game 7, there's a video of him kind of yelling back at the bench, get going. Yeah. And it was like, you could see someone told him, you got to do that. You got to have some emotion. And you can't just fabricate that. It has to be real. It has to be, you're that pissed that you're losing. And I mean, and that's what's missing with Toronto Maple Leafs is that like, it's like, I don't care if I'm going to die. I'm going to find a way that, if I'm dying, I'm taking you with me. Like it's one of those kind of, attitudes. And so, I had to go to the East Coast, and I played 100 games in the East Coast, and I played for John Brophy in Wheeling, West Virginia. And I mean, we could have a whole show on John Brophy. Like John Brophy was the most intimidating man in hockey by far. Okay. And, you hear all these stories when you go to training camp and stuff like that. And I'm like, there's no way these are true. And there's like, you're a week into the season and you're like, oh my God, all those stories are true. Right. And, a couple funny ones is when, he came in the room, we're down like 5-0 after 2. And he grabs all the markers. They have the red, the green, the blue, and he starts marking them on his face. And we're like, okay, well, we knew he was going to lose it one day. He was like 73 years old. He looked like he was 103. We're like, oh, okay, well, this is it. He's cracked up, right? And kind of looks around, and no one says a word, right? And he goes, what? We're playing like fucking clowns. We might as well look like fucking clowns. And he went out with the stuff on. And then, the next one was we're going out, and again, we're on a bit of a losing streak. And we're getting on the bench, and it's a national anthem. And they said, okay, John Smith, longtime season ticket holder, passed away at the age of 88. He loved the Wheeling Nailers, and he was an avid Wheeling Nailer fan. We're going to have a moment of silence, right? So everyone's quiet. And again, moment of silence. No one says a word. There's bro. You see how fucking bad we're playing? We're killing season ticket holders. I'm like, no, you can't say that, right? Gross. See how but that's all right. I don't know. And like, I got another bro story, but I can save it for next time, right? Because it's a doozy, but it might take us.
Yeah.
Well, you guys can cut it out, I guess.
No. Richie's got one about your Ottawa days.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I would think I was 15, maybe. I'm from Belleville, Ontario, so I watched those games, and I actually came to the Memorial Cup with my dad to watch the Bulls and you guys, and it was great watching you play. You guys had a really gritty team and fun to watch. But anyway, just another question. There's this legend when I grew up, when I was just kind of starting. I played junior in Owen Sound. I was just a few years behind you, but there was this rumor, and I don't know if it's ever true, but did you own a bar as a teenager in Ottawa? Because it went around the league, and there was like this aura or Konopka owning this bar as a teenagers. I need to hear this from you.
Yeah. Actually, you kind of refreshed my memory on a couple things now, but so my parents saved a little bit of money for us to go to university. My sisters went to university, and they're music teachers. And there was this opportunity that a friend of the family was opening up. It was a pub, right? It was a pub. It was a restaurant, bar. And long story short, my overage year, I owned so we went on a losing streak. We lost 3 games in a row, and Killer banned everyone from coming to my bar for 2 weeks. I'm like, Killer, you're killing the bottom line here. There's it was pretty, it was pretty nuts. Yeah, it was.
So do you
like,
still?
What was the
own
name of it,
What
Upper? What was it?
Yeah,
What was it called
it
again?
was Stout Brothers.
Stout
Stout
Brothers.
Brothers. So yeah. No, we don't own it anymore. No, actually, like we had a pretty good thing
Chill, you're
going, but then
gonna
I go
Bob
off to
Liner.
play hockey, and yeah, it was. We had a blast. We had so much fun in Ottawa, man. And it was like I also have a theory about junior hockey, of that, you have to want to be there, like, because everybody likes going home to the summer to hang out with your buddies. So unless you have that group of guys that you just love, even subconsciously, you're not going to go to the wall and to the death to win. We were having so much fun, man, that we didn't want to go home. We just wanted to keep the party going. And, so when that 19-year-old year, the year we won the OHL, we were on a losing streak late in the year. And before that 8-game stretch, before the game, and it's a little bit different now, we're getting older, right? But our ages, you had someone that, your grandfather, your uncle that went to war, right? You went to the Second World War, Vietnam War, went to a war. So I had a players only meeting. And I said, listen, like you got our age, there's kids our age or men our age going to war back in the day. And I said, I want everyone to bring in a relative or a friend that had, fought in the war. And we did that. And the next day we had another closed door meeting with the players. And, like my uncle and my grandfather fought in the war, and I talked about them and what they did. And then at the end of the meeting, I took a Sharpie and I put a mark on my face. And I said, these guys are putting their lives on the line, and we're worried about blocking a shot or taking a, punch. Or I said, we got to have that mentality. So I put a black mark on with a Sharpie, and, everyone did it. And then, so we win the first round. So I said, okay, fuck, second round, we'll put 2 marks. Well, I didn't think of this, but I mean, now the fans started putting the marks on.
I remember this. Yeah.
Like it wasn't for that, we were almost upset the fans were doing that first, but then the owner's like, hey, I gave you the credit card, like, let the fans have fun with this. I'm like, okay, we'll have the credit card again. But it was like, we had the mentality, like, because I mean, we were not in the top 12 teams in the league in skill. Like, there's not even close. Like, we didn't have any, but it was like everybody was going to die. It was going to die, So I know, like, there's other teams that do it now, like junior kids and stuff like that. And the Ottawa 67 still do it. So I talked to them about the reason we did this, okay? Because I think you're getting confused here. You're losing the reason why we did this is go to war. It's not to put a nice stripe on, right? And I said, what are you guys putting up? They're putting on makeup. I said, put Sharpie. And the kid goes, well, what if it doesn't come off? You're going to fucking war. Who gives a fuck if it doesn't come off? And sometimes they wouldn't. We didn't care. Like, to me, I made this up maybe myself, but when people I didn't shave in the playoffs and you don't cut your hair, right? To me, it's because you don't give a fuck what you look like. You don't want any distractions. You fucking keep whatever. It didn't matter. Everything is winning. And I was used to tell guys, like, at the end, the winners are, the king of the castle, right? And the whole summer, you can be the fucking winner or you can be a fucking loser. Like, what do you guys want to do, right? And so, yeah, it was, so I learned a lot, I guess, about being a captain in those 2 years. And probably the first two, too. Like, Nick Boynton was a great captain. Mark Bell was a good influence. And, even John Zion is my age and stuff like that. He was an underage. I think it's important to learn from everybody around you. Corey Locke was there my last year, okay? And I learned a lot from Corey Locke. He said he learned a lot from me, but the guy was so skilled that I used to watch him in practice and ask him questions about his puck position, and so when I was a rookie, Mark Bell said, I got to drive you to school, but, can you drive us to the bar? I'm like, sure. I'm like, can I come to the bar? Like, yeah. Sorry. Right. And then, just as long as you get us home. Right. And I always got him home. And so then I'm the captain of the team. I tell Locke, I'm like, listen, okay, you can come to the bar, and then I'd be driving home and he'd be puking out the back window. And I'm like, it's not supposed to work this way, Locker. Like, you're supposed to be driving.
One rule, Locker, way to go, bud.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I'd pick him up like the next night from his billets, and his billets are giving him like plastic bags to puke in the car. I'm like, no, like, this is not the setup here. Like, don't, so yeah, anyway, yeah, it was an unbelievable junior career, and we went to 2 Mem Cups, won one, and learned a lot about kind of going that extra mile.
Yeah, I mean, I was down the road in Kingston, and we had an old school coach in Larry Maverty, and we'd always hear about how much fun you guys were having. And Mav was trying to be, he's like, if you guys won as much as them, I wouldn't have to put all these fucking rules in for you. I was like, it's a good point, Mav. It's a good point, fella. But Z, I'm glad you remember that when you came to Cincy. So I fought you once in junior, twice in the American League, and then I think we fought in the lockout year in training camp. We also fought inter squad. Yeah, we fought. So we fought 4 times, and
So sorry.
I remember when we signed you. I go to Loops. I'm like, fucking Konopka. Fuck this Konopka, man. I hate this fucking guy. There's no way I want to play with this guy. Like, fuck this. And Billy Brookbank, like, fuck, give him a chance, eh? I'm like, it's all an act, boys. It's all an act. And then I don't even think it was 2 months. I think it might have been 2 weeks or 3 weeks into camp, or into the season. I went, hey, man, I owe you an apology. You're a fucking warrior. And you went on to have an unbelievable season. That year, I tell Uppy, Richie, whoever asked, like, without that year, I don't think I would have made the NHL. Bradshaw, Dan Bylsma, but all you guys, Lupul, Konopka, PA, Holmer, Fozzie, the list goes on and on. Our team was unbelievable. And you battled your balls off the entire year. And, I mean, we could start with Game 7 when we knocked out fucking the Milwaukee Admirals on the old floater from our red line, Mark. Our floater from the red line.
Yeah, that's what happened. Actually, that's the start of my leg injury.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was Game 6 was.
Yeah,
so we were down 3-1 in that series.
Yeah, we were. So let me tee this up. I think I think you heard it blocking a shot. So you remember back in the days, boys, the shin pads were. I don't think Z even had the thing above the knee, right?
Terrible. Yeah.
No, I cut it. I used to cut the top of my shin pad because it would bug me. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that beautiful stride of yours, eh? It would fuck up that beautiful stride of yours. I can see that. So Nopper goes down fucking like goalie style, down to 2 knees to block a shot late in the game, and the cut on
his ham use. I think it was ham use.
Yeah, the cut on his leg is like fucking that, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Nopper, and sews it up, and anyways, go on. Yeah.
So what? So we're down 3-1 in the series. Now we're playing Game 6. Okay, and it was there's like 2 minutes left in the game, and I was a centerman, right, and even on penalty killing, I wasn't great at blocking shots. Like I have a tremendous respect for guys that can block shots. But what I did know is if I went down with both knees, kind of like a goaltender, I'm blocking the shot, right? And so late in games, I would drop to both knees and just block the shot that way. So sure enough, it's like teed up, and I think Hamius was on that team, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was a one-timer. I'd go down on my knees. I block it. I'm like, fuck my leg, and I get to the bench, right? And I'm kind of shaking it off, whatever. And so I go back out to take the final draw. We win. We celebrate with the goalie. Whenever we come back in the room, we had white socks. And I look at my sock, and I thought I had paint on it. Like there's all this red on my white sock. I'm like, what the fuck, right? So I pulled down my sock, and it was like, I almost puked at how big it was. Like at that point, I didn't even know it was such a pressure cut that it was like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I was
like
fucking like quad muscle almost or so. I was
no, because it actually ripped my muscle, but it ripped the casing. Because if it ripped the muscle, I was fucked, but it ripped the casing. So they had to stitch the casing, stitch a layer of stitches, and then put another layer of stitches. There was 3 layers of stitches. So they wrap it up and sent me on my way to my ghetto. My ghetto.
Your pad that year was fucking hilarious, dude.
It was bad, right? And
it was all you needed. Somewhere for you to hang your hat. But yeah, I mean, it was.
Yeah. Well, I was making 40 grand in the mine. I know I didn't have a sign-in bonus, right?
Yeah.
So like you're trying to find places. I knew nobody on the team, right? So like I went into my financial situation, and it looked like a nice place. And then when I was there at night, it wasn't so nice. And Yeah, like you didn't leave any valuables in your apartment there. So anyway, so I go back to my apartment, and now this thing is starting, like the freezing's coming off. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night and I'm sweating, like drenched, and my leg just has a heartbeat. And I get up to go, and I felt like I needed like orange juice or something. And I collapsed in the kitchen, and I remember like pulling myself to the fridge. And then I grabbed the scissors and cut the wrap off. And as soon as I cut the wrap off, I could like, it kind of calmed down. So I couldn't walk. Like I had crutches, right?
Yeah.
And so I come to the bus the next day to go to fucking Milwaukee. And the trainer's like, holy fuck, blah, blah, right? And it was amazing. I couldn't walk in the building for game 7. I had crutches. But as soon as they put a needle into that knee, it was, I could bend it, and it was like nothing happened. It was nuts. So I played, game 7, to sorry to bring this up again. After you beat you guys.
We lived it. We lived it.
And we were a real young team. And I think that's what helped a lot of us is that, we played against a lot of older teams, right? And you learned how to play against men that year, right? Because it was an older league. And that's why I didn't think I was just going to make the team, right? And I remember my first, I think, 10 games, I had like a goal and assist. I was killing penalties, fighting a bit, and Loop started off like really slow. I think he had 19 goals in the NHL the year before, and he had like 2 in 10 games, and Anaheim wasn't too happy. And I remember all three of our centermen got hurt in the same game, and I got put on the line with Loops, and he scored. And the next game I played with them, we scored. And then the game after, a couple guys came back, and I was bounced down to the third line, and there was a little conversation I had. And the rest of the year I played with them on a line. And that's the one thing I knew, like I knew my spot, make sure no one touches a hair on Loops, and get him the puck. You get him the puck and work your ass off to get him the puck. And yeah, it was a transition. Like I ended up second on the team in scoring that year, behind Loops.
Yeah.
So now getting back to Chicago, so same thing. I can hardly walk. Now we're getting into like game 3, 4 at home. We're going back for game 5, and we're down 3-1, and we still think we're going to come back and win this thing. And
someone took a stupid penalty. Hey, who took that stupid penalty?
Loops was my roommate, right? And he kind of looks over at my knee, and I had it in like a clear wrap on it. And he goes, geez, like that doesn't look so good. I'm like, no. He's like, it's green.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was fucking green, boys.
And he's like, gee, I'm serious. Like this is bad, right? I'm like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. He's like, no, it's not. It's not. Like, so he called the trainer. Trainer comes in, he's like, fuck, he goes, the doctor's coming in, like flying in soon. So the doctor looks at it. They got to clean it out. So then we go to game 5 for Chicago, right? Like we're on the road. So I get to the rink, and, sorry. We got a normal doctor that comes to the hotel, and he said, there's absolutely no way you're playing tomorrow. Right. And I'm like, whatever, our doctor's coming in. So our doctor flies in. And I
got him on the payroll.
I gotta play. He's like, you can't, man. You can't. Like, it's infected. It's bad. Like this. I said, Doc, please. He goes, okay. The only thing we can do is we take all the stitches out. We clean the shit out of it. Okay. And I just wrap it. So we don't put any more stitches in. But he goes, when you get back to Cincinnati, you got to go like straight to the hospital, because they're going to have to fucking re-stitch it. And I say, yeah, perfect. Okay, let's do it. Fuck. So we play, we end up losing. And I don't know if you remember, Obi, that the bus driver took the wrong turn on the way back.
Yeah. He was heading towards Indiana, wasn't he? With the complete, like Dumb and Dumber. Oh, I thought the Rocky Mountains would be a little rockier than this. We're like, fella, turn her back.
This is not even, this is a true story. Like, so I get on the bus, and it's all frozen, and I'm drinking with the boys, whatever. And then they freezing. It's supposed to be like 6 hours home. Okay. It took us 9. And like, I started feeling like kind of sick on the bus, and like, I didn't say anything to anyone, but I was like, this is like, I'm sweating. And so as soon as we got back, by the time we got back, it was the morning. right? Because this fucking Dumb and Dumber taking their fucking backwards back to fucking Cincy.
Fucking Indiana here.
So I drive to the hospital. I go to, and there's the doctor there. And the one doctor was a huge hockey fan. He's like, get in here, get in here. He's like, oh. So he comes in and he goes, how much pain you have? I'm like, ton. He goes, I'm going to get you some morphine. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Okay. So hooks up the morphine. I'm like, doc, like, how long are you going to be here? Like, you're in party. Like, we got some things going on. He goes, what? I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got a couple hours, but I got to, we got a big night ahead of us, right? And he goes, you're not going anywhere, man. I said, what? He goes, you might lose your leg. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And it was like, reality kicked in, so then I was taken upstairs, and I remember like a lady doctor came in, and my morphine was gone, and I'm like, hey, when someone took away my morphine, she's like, you shouldn't have been on morphine to begin with. I'm like, oh, okay, right. And I was like, I gotta get out of here. She's like, you're not going anywhere. So they had to like go in and they put me under, and they did like a little surgery to clean it up, and then then I got in shit from Balsma and Shaw because I wasn't at the year-end meeting.
Now, more importantly, you weren't at the fucking year-end bender, right? So the bender's going. So now we're getting worried. We're like, everybody's like, where the fuck's Nopper? I'm like, I don't know. He's all I know is he's in the hospital. I think he has his cell phone, but I haven't heard from him since he went in. And this is 2 days, like we're into day 3 of the bender here. So now we're like, something's wrong. And then he finally texted us like, hey boys, I'm, had to go into surgery. They almost had to fucking chop her off, but I'll be there in a couple days, save me a couple pints.
No, what it was you guys were going that night. So I had the surgery, and then the next day, and I was supposed to stay 2 more days. And I told the doctor, I said, listen, I got some family coming in. I got a lot of people to take care of me. Just let me up. So she's like, okay, fine, you can get out. So she's like, you got someone picking you up. I'm like, oh yes, I've got crutches, right? And I crutch myself to my car and drive right to Pachinko's and meet the boys in Kentucky.
Pachinko's.
Yeah, ice from the inside.
Yeah. Fuck, that bar was unbelievable. Z, I want to keep moving here, buddy. Just with Portland, obviously we parlayed our year in Cincy to the next year in Portland, and it was me, you, and PA, and we had the Gills train, and that's probably where we took our friendship and teammate to the next level, right? Because neither one of us wanted to be down there. We probably thought we should have been in the other league, and we made the best of it. And you talk about intimidation factor. We had that, and it was so much fun, buddy. And we lost Game 7 to Hershey, which we probably still both aren't over. But, boys, I'll never forget. So we beat Providence in the first round. It was kind of a war, right? Fights and whatever. Hartford, same thing. I fight that big fucking Wheeler guy. Konopka fights somebody else. So in Hershey comes for Game 1, and they fucking stomp on us in Game 1. Like, blow us out. Okay, right?
Well, so, yeah, but wait a second. So, again, you know how the minors works. So, Anaheim's still in the playoffs, so we don't have our full team. We play Boston, Providence team, and they have all their guys. So even though we finished first, we're playing them. It's a war, okay? We play Hartford, okay? Again, it's a war. Rangers aren't in the playoffs. We play Hershey. I'm like, these guys are too good. Like, there's no way we're beating these guys unless we make it ugly. And then the first game, we fucking get pumped 5 or 6-0 in our home building.
Yeah.
So at this point, they had that Jeff State. Remember, he was like, he's like 6'7", 240 or whatever. So they put me on in the last couple of minutes. So I asked for a fight. We fight, and I get cut over my eye. I leave the ice, and then Obi goes out.
I tried to go after that Robitaille guy, and the Gillies tried to grab another guy, and we all got fucking tossed out. So Nopper's getting zipped up. And Kevin Dineen, your favorite coach, Uppy's favorite coach, Dino. Dino comes in and says, boys, we got to lose. If we're going to, win with class, we got to lose with class, and all that. And Tim Brent goes, yeah, that's unacceptable to go out there and turn it into a fucking gong show and this and that. And I'm thinking, Brenter's lucky Nopper's not in here right now. And I'm kind of looking at Brenter like, I'm already on, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm looking at him, and he kind of sees me, and he finally sits down, and so I go home, and I'm sitting at my plate.
No, first you come into I'm getting stitched up, right? And you come in, you're like, you're never going to believe this. And then Tim Brent said this, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, I get up. The doctor's like, no, I'm not finished, right? I'm like, and by the time I got out of the fucking trainer's room, it was like I don't know, there was something else happened that the doctor had to go see someone on the other team, whatever. I was in there for like 15, 20 minutes. So by the time I got out, everyone's fucking gone, right? And I'm pissed. Like, I'm like, are you fucking like, there's the only way we're winning the series if we make it ugly.
Yeah.
So I see the assistant, who was the assistant coach, Bruce Crowder or something?
Something Crowder, fucking
right.
Something
So
Crowder.
I go, what the fuck is this? Like, we got to win with class, lose with class. If we're going to do that, we're just going to fucking lose. He goes, no, I know. He goes, I didn't agree with that either. And I said, by the way, what the fuck am I doing on the ice in the last 2 minutes? What do you think I'm going to do is fucking, do a couple pirouettes down the fucking ice? Like, I'm out for blood. Like, you know that.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, I don't know. So then go ahead.
And the thing about it is all year, that's how we were built. Like, that's what we did. So I lived in the same building as Tim Brent, and I'm back in my house with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I open up a bottle of red wine, and I just fucking have a couple puffs of my fucking pen or whatever it was back in the day, the volcano, and I'm sitting on my couch, and I hear fucking, like a fucking pounding on my door. I'm like, fuck, that's weird. Go to the people, it's him in Toronto. I open the door, he's like, where the fuck is he? Where the fuck's Tim Brent? What fucking unit's he in? I'm gonna fucking knock him out right now. I'm like, whoa, Nopper, man, you can't fucking fight our second line center in the conference finals. Get in here. No, I know he's in here. Tell me which. Olbs, don't make me fucking find I'm like, Nopper, come in here, and I finally calmed him down. But yeah, he came over to go and confront Brenter after game one of the conference finals. That's why I love you, Z.
So the best part, so
PA's just there laughing.
the next PA's like, look, he's just out of control. So the next day we play game 2 the next day. It's back-to-back days. So we come into the rink and we have video, right? And I'm fuming still. And so we sit down, I stare at Tim Brent, and now I'm trying to think, okay, like, we still got to win tonight. I don't want to make I'm not going to make a distraction here, right? So Kevin Denis gets up there, and I guess he must have talked to an assistant coach. He goes, listen, I want to clear one thing up right now. The reason Z was on the ice in the last 2 minutes is I had a 23-game point streak, and 12 of those were in the playoffs. That's probably like greatest stat of all time. And he goes, I thought he should have an opportunity to get 24. And I'm like, you think I give a fuck about a point?
Yeah.
You did. I grabbed the chair and I threw a chair across the fucking dressing room. Meeting's over. I get pulled into Denis's office. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You played this fucking game. He goes, no, I think I fucked up. Okay, he said fucked up. I'm like, we got to fucking make this a fucking war. That's the only chance. And they're too good. Like, trust me on this. Like, he goes, no, I'm on board. Okay, so now we go out, like, this is like 2 hours before the game, or like we come ready for the game. And a couple of those guys, how guys used to go on the ice with their running shoes to test out their sticks, right?
Yeah.
Well, technically, you're not allowed to do that. I don't think so, right? So Robitaille and a couple guys were like testing out their sticks on the ice. I said, get off the fucking ice. And they're like, calm down, I'm like, right now, get off the fucking ice. I'm fucking yelling and I'm like snapping, right? So their assistant coach comes over, Bob Woods, and I guess he was somewhat of a tough guy back in the day. He goes, holy fuck, what the fuck's your problem? I said, fuck you, get him off my ice. He goes, that's not your ice. I'm like, yeah, it is my fucking ice, right? So now Obi hears this, right? And Obi pops up, right? And he goes, what makes this your ice? Because I said, I'm the fucking guy that owns this fucking ice. And he goes, points at Obi, who are you? He goes, I'm his assistant. I'm owning this ice. And before you know it, okay, now we're at a point where we're at a point now where Bob Woods kind of gets in my face. So I kind of give him a shove, and he goes, do you want to do that? I'm like, so let's go right now, buddy, right? And the ushers are the only guys there. So now the ushers are between us, right? They call the cops, okay? And out of nowhere, Kevin Denis comes out of the office. He's like, I'll kill him. He rips the shirt out and wants to fight Bob Woods. I'm like, wow, that's a bit of a change from yesterday, like when that last was good. So we play that night and we go into double overtime, okay? And I go in the corner and the guy slew foots me and I trip. The guy goes around the net. The guy that slew foots me puts it in the back door and we lose in double overtime 2-1. And I'm fucking losing on the ref and just losing it in general. Now we're down 2-0. Now we gotta go to Hershey. So we go to Hershey, game 3, we go to double overtime. We get an offensive draw on my bad side. I told Obi, just be ready for the puck to come back, get it back to Obes, fires it in, OT winner for the big guy.
Fucking carton house, baby.
Now it's 2-1, right? And okay, game 4, we get trashed again. We're down like, I don't know, 6-1. And I look at Deneen, he's like, go, 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 right? So then we fight, like we all fight, and now he's on board for fighting. And because of the circus in Hershey, even though we had home ice advantage, it went 2 in our building, 2 in their building, 2 in our building, game 7 in their building. So we come back down 3-1. And that's where it does take a team. And Tim Brent played pretty good in one of those games that we won. And, we come back and win the next 2 games to force a game 7. Now, the bad part of this is now we got all the momentum, and there's 7 days off, 7 or 8 days off between game 6 and game 7. Okay. But the good news is Edmonton beats out Anaheim, and we get Getzlaf, Perry, and Penner down for game 7. And I knew, I kept on watching the playoffs, and I was really working on Penner because I knew, we could get those guys back. And all I wanted, at this point, I won the Mem Cup, won the OHL, won the Kelly Cup in the East Coast. All I want to do is win this fucking Calder Cup. Like, I just fucking, like, and so another part of this, game 3 in Providence, I get fucking blindsided. My shoulder, I go to the doctor. They say I'm done for the year. I crack my shoulder. So every game after game 2 in the first round, I had to take a needle to freeze it. Game 7, our doctor's coming in, and the flight gets delayed, and the doctor can't make it in. So we get him on the phone, and Kevin Dineen's there. And this is how far Kevin Dineen comes. And I love Kevin Dineen, but, he lost his way a little bit there, right? Yeah. And, so he goes, so the doctor's on the phone, and we said, listen, if we let their doctor do it, then they know, like, we got to figure this out. We can figure this out. Now, I don't even know if I should be telling the story, but I am. So the doctor said, okay, like, you've seen it done a million times. Like, where I put the needle, like it's there, and Deneen goes, rips the shirt up, and he goes, do it on me first. So we practice. And the doctor's like, is there something wrong with you? No, we're not doing that. We're not freezing your shoulder. So we got it done. We got it frozen. And then in that game 7, 2 things. One, when Edmonton beat Anaheim, the Anaheim veterans were pissed that those guys had to come down to us, which really fucking hurt because their mindset wasn't the best coming down. Okay. Yeah. 2, Kevin Dineen being a rookie coach. Aaron Gavey was our captain. He was a good player, but with those guys coming down, maybe he should have been on the lineup. Like Glenn Cross was a healthy scratch. He was a pretty good penalty killer. We gave up a couple of power play goals. Parenteau gets hurt the first shift, doesn't come back. Then fucking Obi's not on the bench. And I'm like, where the fuck is Obi? He goes, he got cut. I said, put some fucking Vaseline on. They're like, no. I'm like, I know you put some Vaseline. And Obi's like in the walkway trying to tell them, put Vaseline on it. They're like, you got to skate. I'm like, obviously, I didn't realize you got to skate. How many?
No, I was with you. It was close to 100, but I'm like, we'll worry about it after. Just make it stop bleeding. That's what Brian Burke actually came down in the room and heard me saying that. He tells the story every now and then when I do anything with him. He's like, I'm down there, and Obi's yelling at these guys to put Vaseline on his face and don't worry about it. And we went back out and lost in double overtime. And then I had to get all the fucking stitches put in after the game in Hershey. It was fucking awful. All I wanted to do was go get drunk with these guys. And we lost her in double overtime. But Nopper, we're definitely, I got a couple more here. We got to have you back. I'm going to have to make you a recurring guest here. But one last thing before I have a surprise for you. You got to tell the boys and our Missin Curfew faithful the 66 story when you're in training camp in Anaheim and when you get called up. You got to tell a fella.
Okay, let me tell that, and I'll tell one quick one after that because I think it will make good TV here.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I get to training camp for rookie camp, because the lockout year is rookie camp, and this is my first NHL contract. I'm so excited, and then I get in the room, I look at my number, and I'm like, I'm number 66, right? And I'm like, obviously they always give like the jabroni, like, like guys that are never gonna have a chance to make the team numbers like that, right? And I will come back and talk because I got a pretty good Babcock story off, rookie camp because he actually coached us, remember?
Yeah.
In the rookie camp.
Yeah.
And so I played the next year in exhibition. I was 66 and guys are like, "Hey, Mario, nice pass." And all that. I thought your back was hurting you, Mario. And it was and people thought I picked the number, and then I get called up and it was a Sunday game. It was a 5:00 game in Anaheim. So I arrive, I take my stuff over to the rink and I look and I'm like, there's no way they're going to put 66 in my stall. It's impossible. Zero chance. I show up, 66 is in my stall. And I'm like, oh my, no. Trust me, when I was a rookie in the NHL, I'm different than I am now, or when I was a junior. I'm like, so I go to the trainer, I go, knock on the door. I said, "Hey, Mr. Smith, I can't wear this number because why not?" I'm like, California trainer. I'm like, "What do you mean, why not?" He goes, "Why?" I'm like, "Mario Lemieux, Oh, yeah, okay. We'll change it after the game." I'm like, okay. I'm like, distraught. And Jason Marshall comes in, and thank God Jason Marshall kind of looks at the number, looks at me, and I'm like, kind of have my head down, and he goes, "Do you want to wear that number?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Oh, thank God." He goes, "I thought you wanted to." I'm like, "No." He goes, "Why are you wearing it?" I said, "I don't know." So he told the trainer, he goes, "You can't wear that number." He goes, "I'll change it after the game." He goes, "No, you got to change it now." So every rookie card I have is 66.
Oh.
And my first number was 25. Okay, so
Would you imagine if they made you wear 66 in a real NHL game hold? Good thing Marshy stepped in there, Frock.
Part of me now, maybe one game would have been all right, now, but at the time.
Yes. That's true. So anyway, it's good to say I wore 66 for my first year. You're right. Yeah.
So I'll tell you, the last story I'll tell is, so after the Portland, I go to Russia. I come back. I get blackballed by Brian Burke. And I understand it now. I was pissed at him at the time. I was making 40 grand in the minors. They qualified me at 40 grand. When we lost, I was leading the AHL playoff scoring. And I played with this cracked shoulder and it killed me. I looked at Berkey almost, like a god, and I just wanted 90 in the minors. So I went to Russia day before the season. They give me the 90 to come back. I come back and I'm having a great season. 4 forwards get called up and Kevin Diney calls me in the office and said, "Well, I'm not part of this. I just wanted to tell you this isn't my call, but they're sending a message." So anyway, long story short, I get traded to Columbus, Syracuse, and next time I'll tell you a few Syracuse stories. But so the year after, we go to camp in Tampa Bay, and we're playing the summer tournament, this money tournament Ovi's played in, and it got way out of control, and we were probably the reason it got out of control because we were very intense. We got into a brawl, and a goalie two-handed my foot, and I didn't realize at the time it broke my foot. So 2 weeks before I have to go to Tampa, I go to Dr. Gallia in Toronto, and he says, "Your foot's broke." And it's, and I say, "I got to go to camp." He goes, "The only thing you can do next 13 days, just stay off at ice and do not skate, don't do anything. You might be okay." Right. But so I go to camp and I'm not in very good hockey shape. So I was like, the only thing I can do is start fighting. Cause you fight and go to the box and you get a little break, and I was pretty good fighting shape. So I think it was 13 or 14 times in training camp and exhibition. And I remember I was running Vinny and Marty, and they said someone pulled me aside and said "You got to stop doing it." I said, "Okay, perfect. Tell me I'm on the team and I'll stop doing it."
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And, next time we're going to get to the, Lawton and Barry Melrose story. But anyway, I go to Norfolk and I'm the captain of the team, and I'm okay. I'm never, in my head, I'm never going to play an NHL game again, and I'm okay with that. I played in Toronto, I played in Buffalo, played in Montreal. People thought I'd never play a game. I was happy, and I was happy to be a leader in the minors, and I wanted to play an NHL shirt. So 2 months into the season, maybe 3, okay, I'm going for a pregame nap in Norfolk, and I don't shut up my phone, and the phone rings. It's the assistant GM to Tampa, and they said, "Z, you got called up." I said, "Really? To the Lightning?" "Yeah, to Lightning." I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Where are we playing?" He goes, "Buffalo." I said, "Oh my God, that's even better. I'm 35 minutes from Buffalo. It's kind of, close to NHL." So he goes, "We got 3 problems." I said, "Okay, what's the problems?" 1, there's no direct flight from Norfolk to Buffalo. So you got to go through Detroit. I say, what's the second problem? Second problem is your connection's pretty tight. So you got to make sure you get to that connection. I said, okay, what's the third problem? Third problem is your plane lands at around 6:45 and the game's at, 7 to 7:30, right? And I said, okay, I got to get going, right? So, all right, boys, I'm going to get going here. So now I'm calling my family, telling them I got to get there, So as I'm on the way to the airport, my phone rings. A couple of my buddies from Tampa, they called me. They said, you got called up. I said, I know. They said, you know why you got called up? I said, well, no, why? They said, well, Adam Mayer beat the shit out of Steve Downey last game. They want you to beat the shit out of Adam Mayer. I'm like, this day can't even get better. I'm used to fighting bigger guys. That guy's my size. Okay, this is awesome, right? Can't be any better. So I get to the airport. There's a little delay on the flight. Now my connection's tight. So I land in Detroit, and I don't know why they do these, and they can, maybe AI can figure this out. But I land in, C terminal, and my other flight is an A terminal, right? So I get off the flight, and I remember asking the lady, I said, what's the fastest way to, A36? She's like, well, take the train. Actually, if you run. So I'm running. And I can see that A36, and I see them closing the door. I'm like, no, don't close the door, don't close the door. And they close the door, and I'm like frantic to the lady. I'm like, listen, lady, I gotta go play this hockey game. I gotta fight Alan Mayer. They need me. I gotta get on this fight, please. And she's like, well, let me call the pilot, right? So she calls the pilot, and she goes, it's your lucky day. I said, I know it is. And she's like, they're gonna let you on the flight. I'm like, oh my God, thank God, right? So I get on the flight. Now we're gonna get to Buffalo. So we land in Buffalo. They said there's gonna be someone with your name, Zenon Konopka, and that driver will take you straight to the ring. He knows you're late. Don't worry. So I land. Looking through the airport for this guy. Look, where is this guy? There he is. Okay. I'm like, buddy, we got to get to the rink. I got to fight Adam Mayer. We got a big thing. I got to get there, right? He goes, yeah, no, I know. Don't worry. I got you. So we're waiting for my equipment and my sticks, and we're waiting, and now the stuff's coming out. My stuff's not coming out. So the guy goes, it's probably an oversize. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Let's go to oversize. I'm like, we got to get going here. He goes, no, I know. Let's go to oversize. So we go oversize. There's nothing oversized. So we tell the guy, is there any hockey stuff back there? Hockey stick, hockey equipment? He goes, let me check in the back. Comes out. He goes, no. So now we go back to the belt, and now the belt stops. My equipment's not there. So I go to the front desk. This lady's there. I said, listen, my equipment's not here. I got to get to this game. And she goes, okay, give me your ticket. And she types, and she goes, oh. She goes, well, you made the connection, but your equipment did, and your sticks did. I'm like, oh my God, no, I was having such a great day, So I called the team ops guy, and I said, listen, my equipment didn't come. He goes, okay, listen, we knew it could happen. Like, don't worry. He goes, what I do know is you're going to Montreal after the game. So just tell the guy to bring you back. He'll go get your stuff, sit in the press box. And I said, okay. So I'm walking out of the airport. I call this guy back, the team ops guy. I go, hey, listen, are we playing short, or someone's going to play for me? He goes, no, we're playing short. Guys have the flu, and that's why, even though you were late, you're going to still play. I said, listen, I know I got to fight Adam Mayer. If I find some equipment, can I play? All I got to do is go fight him. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I live 35 minutes from Buffalo. If I can find some equipment, right? He goes, I don't know how to answer that, but let me call the GM. I'll get back to you, right? So he calls me back. He goes, all right. They said he's sure. If you find some equipment, you can vote, right? So my one buddy, Mike Swartneski, okay, he worked for Monkey Sports, like a sports store, and I knew he couldn't come to the game, and he was that guy that always had his equipment in his back seat, never aired it out, just one of them, right? So I call, and I go, Mike. He goes, aren't you supposed to be at the game? I said, do you have your equipment in car? He goes, yeah. I said, you got to get to Buffalo right away. He goes, are you okay? I'm like, just get to Buffalo. And they had the driver wait for him at the border and escort him in. So he comes in the room. Now, the game started by now, after all this, right? So I come in, and now the trainers are pretty excited about this. They think it's pretty funny. Hilarious, right? Yeah. So my buddy comes, and he says, he's like, am I allowed to stay for the game? I'm like, yeah, I think so. I'm like, is he allowed to stay for the game? And he's like, yeah, just get dressed. So the trainer's like, what kind of curve do you use? I said, Medano. He goes, okay, I'll tape you up the stick.
Just give me a shovel for
right? Yeah. Not that I need this stick, really, but okay. So now skates aren't like putting running shoes on, right? This is my buddy's skates. God knows when they were sharpened, whatever. But I'm like, whatever, I got to fight this guy, right? So now it's like pretty far into the first period, okay? And I'm like, okay, I need my stick, right? So they give me my stick. I'm like, I'm left-handed, boys, right? They're like, oh, sorry. I'm like, I'm really high on the depth charts now. You don't even know if what way I shoot. I was in training camp, guys, you know? So they got to tape up another stick. So they tape up another stick. So I get on the bench and Rick Tockins, the coach, right? I'm like, Tox, hey, I said, I know I got to fight Bairds. It's, he goes, well, do you want a couple shifts to warm up? I said, Talk. I'm not, I'm more worried about being -2 than getting my nose broke for the 14th time. Just let me go fight him. He's like, okay, you see him, you go. Don't So as soon as Mayor jumps on the ice, 2 of our guys jump off the ice because everyone knows what's going on here. So I get on the ice. Now, I'm a little shaky on these skates, like maybe haven't been sharpened in a little while, right? So now he kind of goes and I chase after him. He moves the puck and I kind of drop one of my gloves. I'm like, drop your gloves. He's like, I'm not fighting you. I'm like, you're fighting me. And I kind of lose my balance and bump into him. And they give me 2 minutes for interference. And I'm like, the greatest day ever is not turning out so great right now. So I go to the box. The boys kill off the penalty. And now it's pretty tough getting across the ice with these skates. So I'm like, so I get off and I'm like, Talk, I'm sorry, I lost balance. And they hit him. He's, oh no, you're doing great. You're doing great, right? So thank God, Buffalo scores. Lindy Ruff does me a huge favor. They put on Adam Merrick. So I look at Talk. He's like, go, right? And so then so I go to the face-off puck, and he's taking the face-off. And I'm like, we're going. And he goes, I'm not fighting you. I said, buddy, you don't know what I've been through today. Like, we're fucking going. And I'm not one guy to, sucker someone, but I will sucker you if you don't fucking drop your gloves. So he's like, okay, fine, we'll fight, right? So we square off. If you watch the fight, I get kind of tagged on the way in because I kind of lose my balance. The rest of the fight goes pretty well. I think I might have got an instigator as well. And so I go to the box and I come back after my 17 minutes back to the bench and Rick Tockins like, you look a little shaky on those skates. Like, you want a couple more shifts or are you good? I'm like, I'm good. So my stat line was 7 seconds, 19 minutes of penalties, and a good story. And we did a charity event about, we brought up this video. And I never knew in the video, it's Rob Ray or Rick Jarrett says Konopka's flight he wasn't even here for warm up. His flight wasn't in time, so it kind of verifies all that. And so that was a pretty crazy day. And I kind of forgot about the story. And, it didn't seem that crazy at the time, but now I'm telling it does.
Well, I mean, nowadays, if you told an NHL guy that nowadays, they would just be like, when they hear that, they'll be like, what? Are you fucking, send the team bird for the fucking guy maybe, right? Like, how much, so you had to get from Norfolk to Buff. They could have got you a little citation for fucking $8,000 or something and fired you on there. Not fucking puddle jump through Detroit. Nopper, buddy, I love you. Listen, we're going to have you back on many more times now. You finally, we appreciate you coming on here first. I got a little surprise for you, buddy, because I love you to death. Ice pick, KC, if we could bring in our special guest here, one of your favorite wingers, softer than fucking baby shit.
Oh, Parenteau.
There he is right there. Can you hear us, Mago?
Yeah, I can.
Buddy,
there he is. So what competitor?
You just missed this. You just missed 68 minutes down trip down memory lane. That was fucking unbelievable.
I'm not fucking shocked.
Hey, but I just wanted to ask you when I know Z meant a lot to you too, but how important of a teammate was he to you in Cincy and Portland and Long Island and all the good stuff he did for you? He probably did some bad stuff for you too. But how much does the Z man mean to you?
He meant a lot, obviously. I don't think I would have played in the NHL without him.
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm pretty sure about that. I wouldn't be saying that.
He made you a little tougher.
A lot tougher.
Well, no, but yeah, that's true. But no, PA, I think we all had, we all improve each other, but his skill was off the charts, and he, PA had.
How was his back checker?
Well, not so well. It's just
How is this diesel? Did you trust him on the wall in the late in the game? Did you want to have to see him
later on in his career, right? But
please help me out here.
I remember seeing him he had a temper, right? And he snap and get mad, and I was like, why don't we just use that as motivation and take that temper and like go like hit someone or, you know, and he started to like, he started putting it on the line. And again, when I played with him, I knew again, get the puck to him and then get to the net. Right. And he made good things happen. And, in hockey, I think we underestimate the best players in the world make better other players better, right? And it vice versa, right? And you should want to compliment players rather than worry about yourself. And I think in Cincinnati, because we're a young team, we started as an immature team. By the end of it, we just wanted to help each other and try to win. And I think we all grew that year.
Yeah. Were you guys roommates in Portland? You were right out in Old Orchard Beach or something? That fucking big old house you had out there? Fucking thing was haunted, I think. Or it was when you guys left, but we had some nights out there, huh?
Yeah, the Saunders. Remember Saunders night?
Yeah, popped his shoulder out of his socket. Yeah. Remember that? Oh, my God.
Hey, before we let you guys go, the New York Islanders alumni does great, right? That's you boys get to see each other often because they do a great job with your alumni in Long Island, right?
Yeah, they do. It's pretty special what they do there. We get all I don't know how many players they fly every year, but it's pretty impressive. I've played on a lot of teams, and I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, no, there's no criteria either. If you played one shift or 1,000 games, they bring you in, eh?
Yeah, you play one game, you're in.
They let you stay in the city too, I bet, huh? Yeah, you got to get in there.
Oh yeah, you guys stay in the city for sure, right?
Well, yeah, we mix it up every year. The ownership's unbelievable, and they really invest in the alumni coming back, and it's fantastic. And you know what? It's good for guys to see each other, and it's important too, I think. And I'm hoping more alumni will start doing it.
PA, I want to put you on the spot though. Is there any one story of Z back? I talked about the story of when he came to Cincy in the lockout year, and I was telling Loops to you guys, I'm like, I fucking hate this Konopka, man. I can't believe we got to play with this fucking guy. And then, a month or 2 months later, I'm apologizing to him and telling him how much I love him. When did you realize that it was just this is how this guy is night in and night out?
Yeah, I think we all felt that way a little bit when we played against him in Utah. But what he got there, he was he was a huge team guy, and we all rallied around him a little bit in the second year, and they had a lot of fun. But what amazes me the most about him is probably my last year in Portland. I think you were for the playoff run. You were there, Obes.
Yeah,
and just the way he played that playoff run and the stats that he put up, and he took that team on his shoulder, and took us pretty deep there for a decent run. So he was a huge part of it, if not our best player. And that's the year I've learned a lot from him, especially on the ice.
But saying that, if you don't get hurt in Game 7, maybe we win Game 7.
Yeah, what the fuck was wrong with you? You weren't even hurt, were you? Man, looking back, what was it? It wasn't anything really. I know you didn't block a shot.
No, I didn't block a shot.
He blew out his groin the night before in the hotel room, maybe.
All right, boys. Well, P, I just wanted you to come on because you boys both mean a lot to me, and without those 2 years, I wouldn't have made the NHL either. Maybe wouldn't have drank as much, but fuck, I wouldn't have made the NHL either. So, thanks, boys. Welcome back to Missin Curfew,
fellas.
Up dog, Richie fella,
Konopka,
the Z-Man. First of all,
baby,
I love him. One of my favorite teammates of all time, and fuck, he was just going there. We could have went Joe Rogan style with him. We're definitely got him back on.
I think I laughed. Like, imagine getting stuck on the bus for those 6-hour rides back from Milwaukee, having, 24 beers and on cooler with him.
Yeah, I did.
He remembers every shit.
He took the losses tough too.
Yeah,
where you're like on the bus and you're drinking and you're heading, you play the next day. You're like, dude, let it go. We play in fucking 12 hours.
We talk about Richie as a face-off guy. You talk about getting your face in the circle. He would get it right down there too.
No, he certainly did.
He was a battler.
He was a warrior.
Buddy, Richie, I wanted to jump in there and tag that question because it was, first of all, I didn't know he was second overall all time in face-off.
Percentage, yeah.
But they changed the rules because of him.
Yeah.
The hand rule? He used to put it in his mouth. Like he put it in his mouth if he had to, but
he made it.
The hand rule is because of Zenon Konopka. He would
boom. You fucking cheating. Yeah, get your hand off that biscuit.
Yeah, so they changed the rules because of him.
I mean, those stories, those minor stories, and like those get me laughing, man. Those are
he's
all time.
He's the man, and I mean he squeezed, like, he had great hands and strong. I mean, one of the strongest pole walks I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking about Polacks with no futures. I mean, he was just strong
Nice.
and he couldn't skate, right? Like he just couldn't skate. That was his thing, but he fucking would fight anyone, good in the face-off circle, could make a play and just willed his way to play, as many games as he did.
So just that year in Portland, was him and Dino, because he was the captain, right? Was him and Dino, did they butt heads or were they?
He wasn't our captain actually was Aaron Gavey.
Aaron Gavey.
And our assistant captains was, what's Jeff Peters' brother? Who's the big tough guy in Buffalo? Was that Jeff Peters? No, that's Andrew Peters. So his brother, Jeff Peters, who was kind of a career minor league guy.
He was assistant captain.
It was our assistant captain. I think our other assistant was Timmy Brent. But Konopka ran the.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
There's not a team he played on where he didn't run like.
Yeah. And it was weird. Like we had, me and Gillies and him and Nate Song. We had our meets and then we had our other guys. And I love Tim Brent and Aaron Gavey, and they were kind of more polished, let's say, right? And they sometimes would look at, Konopka and be like, what the fuck? My boys, just let him go. Just let him go, boys. There's no, you're not going to stop him. And then I remember I didn't get to get it in when we were talking to him either because he was just going the fucking beauty. But heading into playoffs that year, our song right before he went out, he came up with the Hulk Hogan, I am a real American, fight for the right. And it fucking would pump it. I'm like, this guy's too much. But anyways, boys, thank you to Zenon Konopka. Thanks to you, boys. You got a glimpse of playing with them. But anyways, thank you, Zenon. Richie Fella, Updog, Hall Pass Media. Thank you to Kyle, Casey, Conway, Max, the Ice Pick Pickup. That was Missin Curfew, fellas.